Getting absolute muscle there at turn one. That was an absolute disaster.
Oh, he's spun!
Oh no! That's massive for Adam!
All over the rear bumper of Spin, mate. These guys are hitting each other like nothing we've ever seen before.
Jeep pulls out to the outside. Here we go again.
AEST there. He's going to go for a move here. The two Ferraris in front of him.
Jeep went wide. Jeep is
Oh!
in trouble with Schumacher. Oh, good contact.
Oh, massive contact there.
This is going to be an incredible finish for these two.
The speed, the overspeed happening. They're going to go 3 wide into
Oh.
turn 1.
There's contact there from Tracy that comes through on the way in. He tries to retwist and gets his way.
Shoved out wide. Oh, huge contact.
This is fantastic. On the outside though in turn one.
As he chucks it down the inside anyway. What is this? Oh my gosh! What a move from GTR!
Good evening, Sector 1 sim racing fans from Australia, New Zealand, and around the world. Welcome back to more fantastic action from the Sector 1 sim racing series. We're here for round 6 at Watkins Glen, a new track to the Sector 1 sim racing calendar. We did come here last week for Div 1 and Div 3, and it put on an awesome show for us, which was great to see, and more of the same coming at you tonight. Div 4 and Div 2, of course, our Group B groups coming at you with plenty of action for tonight's entertainment. I'm your host, Atom, this evening, and joining me in the box for Race 1, Division 4 is Graham. How are you, mate? That's great to hear, and I've just noticed that we've got a bit of an audio error where we can't hear Graham just yet, but I will fix that momentarily. We'll get ready to introduce yourself again, mate. Sorry, there you go. Have at you.
All right, I'm on. Glad it's not my headphones this time, but no, look, good evening, everyone. Really looking forward to this. Had the benefit of racing here last week. Really enjoyed it. 133k of racing, multiple strategies. I think these guys are going to have a ball tonight.
Yeah, it's good. I bet a moment of panic there for the guys in chat after our audio woes back at Interlagos, but we're all good to go. New equipment on the go for Graham this week, isn't it?
It is. So I was a bit worried then. I thought, oh no.
No, it was completely on my end. I forgot to change a crucial setting, so it's all good. But we are all sorted and ready to go. So I think we're ready to kick qualifying off. I'll have a look at the Division 4 standings while we wait as well.
All right, I'll push the button now.
Very good. So, before we look at that, let's have a look at the standing. Revs Law at the top for Hooncorp Esports with 154 points. VF in P2 for Dadson Racing with 153. It's as tight as ever at the top. So, keep your eyes out for the likes of Revs Law, VF, and Renegade this time around. A guy with no skills with consistent results all season so far. That P5 spot has been his time and time again. Expecting good things from him tonight. The Nissans are a bit of a wild card. We don't really know how good they're going to go because we didn't see much of them last week. But the first of the Supras down there in P5, Benny X, will probably be looking to replicate the form of the Supras of last week. So we'll see what they can do. So that is your standings for the drivers as they sit right now. Drink it in. Remember who's who. It's all going to be very important later. Let's have a look now at what's going on track.
Yeah, the guys in the when they were doing practice, they were all a bit cagey. A lot posted purple sectors and then backed off at the end of laps. So it'll be really interesting, certainly in the 45s, and we'll see if any of them can drop a quicker lap than that.
All right, we'll have a look at the field now as we head around for the first of the opening laps, the out lap for everyone. Good Doc makes his return to Division 4 in the Ferrari, the team owner of Blacklight Motorsport, making a return and looking to put his foot down early, way out the front, and eager to get qualifying run and done nice and quick. Revs Law, currently your championship leader with a dominating performance at Interlagos. You remember that, Graham?
Yeah, certainly qualified first, finished first. And along with VF, who was very close to him, same strategy, qualified second, finished second. So yeah, very strong at that end, but Revs is super quick.
Yeah, it was a clinical
Dominated
drive
it.
from Revs last time around, and you know we'll see if we see more of the same. He's tailed very closely here by Wombo, who's not going to have a lot of space for this qualifying lap. It'll be interesting to see how he goes up the power section. That Supra, of course, very, very quick in a straight line. The green beacon car, orange and green, looking very fancy. Classic red mist, of course. Some of the best liveries on the grid, as we're used to. Goes for an overtake in the first corner there. That's quite interesting. He's gone wide, though. He's missed his braking marker. We'll head back. A guy with no skills in the GTR for Black Rose Racing. It's all a bit chaotic here between these guys. Petey Pops in the Alfa Romeo has spun off at turn 1. His woes for the season continue, but waiting the correct amount of time for everyone else to go past before rejoining the track. Great sportsmanship from Petey after a very rough season so far. We'll look to see how the Alpha gets on around here. It's a fairly balanced track, this one of the more balanced tracks of the season, as we've seen for Group 3 at least, a domination from the Supras a lot of the time. So hopefully the Alphas, the GDRs can put their 2 cents in this time around and sneak a win. Although, having said that, in Div 4 we've seen a lot of wins from various different cars. I recall Renegade winning at Daytona, of all tracks, in the GDR. And that was a fantastic race once again.
Yeah. Yep, and we had Chris in the AMG as one. So I think the Nissans have won a couple of times. Merc has won. So no, it's fairly balanced. And I think one of the advantages here is just the strategies will play a part. So even in the last race, the Enduro, you know, Q11, Q10 qualifying finished 4th and 5th. And it was similar in the Group 3 here last week. Higher qualifiers were definitely finishing just shy of the podium. So be very interesting how strategy plays out.
Having a look now at Keza Johnson and one of the other unique cars on the grid, the boxer-engined BRZ. Beautiful looking car. We'll have a look at Good Docs as he comes across the line. Sets the benchmark time 1:47.1. A couple of the other guys coming across, not having an answer for him at this stage. They got all tangled up together in the early stages. But there we go. ISA Renegade dropping down at 1:46 nice and early. So if I recall correctly, we saw 1:44s last week.
Yep.
44s, maybe 43s. I can't quite recall.
Yeah, bulk of Div 3 in the low 45s, and a couple dropped into the 44s.
Alright, so we'll probably see these guys. I mean, Renegade's knocking on the door of a 45 already, and he's 2/10 up. Look at that. He's got a beautiful toe from Keza in front of him for this lap. Let's jump on board and see what this looks like. On board the Hooncorp car, he's had a fantastic debut season so far, has Renegade. A couple of really flashy moments. The Daytona win comes to mind, of course, pulling off a blinding strategy and taking the win against, you know, the identical strategy of Reb's Law, who showed his pace at Interlagos just last round. So he's got some pace in him too, has Renegade, so definitely do not want to be counting him out. But it's at this point of the lap now. He had that nice toe up the first straight, but he's now going to get held up slightly by Keza as he makes his way past. He's still 0.133 up. Purple lap coming in for ISA Renegade. Can he nail the final sector? Let's hope he doesn't hold up Keza too much. It looks like he might go a little bit wide on the exit of that corner there, on the heel of the boot, as it's known. The boot, of course, being the section of corners that they've just come through down at the bottom of the circuit. Not super familiar with the corners of this particular track, but he's lost a bit of time there with that deep moment in the boot section. Good Dot goes 1:46 and revs into the 45s, Womble into the 45s, and
45s, yeah.
Renegade with a penalty, so his lap is ruined as well as the next, so he'll definitely have to think about pitting in shortly.
Yeah, the third lap seems to be the money lap. The fourth, it does start to drop off on a lot of the cars, so really third, fourth, end of third, definitely into fourth, fresh tyres, and you'll get one or two cracks at it.
They do have to think about tyre wear in this qualifying, although you can kind of get away with running your tyres for the whole session. But it can be ideal to box about halfway through to put a fresh set on, give yourself the best chance in the second half of qualifying. You'll cut out a lap or two of the qualifying session, but you might get a little bit more pace in your last one. But it depends how clinical you are and how much faith you have in yourself. But slightly disappointing to see the Supra's on top again, but you have to put it on pole to get it on pole, and Benny has done just that provisionally. Half a tenth clear of Reb's Law here in the sister team Hooncorp in the Nissan GDR. So let's see how the GDR can respond to the Supra coming into the final sector. He's blue on his time by more than he's behind Benio, which is interesting. Not purple at this stage. Let's see if he can pick up some time in the final sector. On board now. Coming through the final stages of the boot into the last two corners. Still half a tenth up. Would be enough to clear Benio, but for some reason, he does not appear to be purple. Into the last corner, he's not even going to set it. Into the pits comes Reb's Law for a fresh set of tyres. He appears to have time. He might have crossed the line there, but we will see. Womble to cross the line. Let's have a look. Not an improvement this time around. Benio in as well. Renegade in as well. Everyone's coming in. Laminator in too. Looks like he crossed the line there. It might be a 3-second invoice for him in the Lightning Motorsport car. So as many of you may know, crossing the pit lane lines does end up with a penalty for yourself. And 3 seconds is quite a lot of time to serve at the penalty zone. The penalty zone being in the sole of the boot on that little uphill straight, and can really hurt you if you end up with it, because it's in a traction zone where you're trying to lay the power down. And if you end up just holding 80k's up there, it's not good for your chances, that's for sure. BF with a 45.9 pops himself up into P4, not bad in the AMG. Still running the old car, even though the Dadson team were given the option to switch to the new 2020 version in exchange for a points penalty, of course. And opting to stick with the 16 and doing pretty well with it, the F here, up in P4. Not bad.
Yeah, just looking, we've got quite a lot of runners on their first flyer out of the outlap after the pits, so this is where it'll really shake down for the final spots.
Okay, let's have a look at some people we haven't seen so far. The Deeds entry of Malevolent One is on a lap at the moment, and he pitted last lap, so he is on his first flyer of the new stint. And he's up on his best time. The Brev as well in the McLaren for CP Motorsports. He's down this time around, but he might get one more. Ezra in the Subaru.
Yeah, Debrev's, he's chosen to run longer on the tyres, so he hasn't come in yet.
So he's gone for the no-stop strategy. He'll get one more, won't he?
Yes, he should do. There's around about 45 seconds.
Here's a Will of 47, a guy with no skills, surprisingly a long way down. P13 at the moment. Seen him up and around the P5 spot, maybe struggling to get to grips with the GDR around this track. Petey Pops, 14th at the moment. So hasn't set a representative lap time by the look of things. And there we go, he's on for one now. Look at the guys up top. Rebs Law on his final flyer. Benier as well. BF goes up to P3, unseats Womble, who's parked up. It's the end of his quali, so BF, Womble will go no higher than P4. Petey Pops for the 150. Will stay 14th for now. He's getting one more though. There we go. Malevolent One will also get one more, crossing the line at the last second in P6. Deeds entry, going around for one more. Can he clear a 145.9? Who are our protagonists here? Benier, currently with provisional pole. Rebs Law, slightly ahead of him. BF coming through the bus stop. I think the other one to watch out for might be Renegade. He's not quite as far ahead of these guys.
Rebs is just about to come to a timing point at the hill.
Have a look, he's purple by a 10th. He could unseat Benier here. What about Benier? We didn't quite see his split. On board with Revs. Coming through the final sections of the boot. This is make or break now. Pole position depends on this last sector. Let's see him through this next sector split. Right around this corner. He's wide of the apex. He might be throwing it all away. He's still purple. Benier's not up on his own time. Revs could get it here. He's just got to make it stick through the final sequence of corners. The GDR hugs the inside, pushes all the way to the outside wall. Oh, a little bit of contact on the wall on the outside there. That might have slowed him up just enough. It's a 45. It's not pole position. Benier will hold on to it for now. VF is still yet to set a time as well as Renegade. Let's have a look. Renegade copped a penalty on the lap and it threw away his chances. He'll start down in P7 at the best. Rebs Law is across the line. Here comes VF. No improvement.
Dazzer's just about to cross the line.
No improvement
a bit
for
slower.
Dazza. 80.
Yeah, a little bit slower. And
Petey Pops has gone up to P12. He's got himself out of P14. That's good. P14.
and a couple of the guys were carrying penalties as well, so that didn't help them. Yeah.
It can be a difficult track for that. Well done to our drivers in our qualifying session this evening. So we'll get to the results of that very shortly. But what a qualifying session it was. We see Benier up the top. So a reminder for where we're racing tonight. We've just seen it in action for the first time. Watkins Glen racecourse located in the Americas. It does say round 3 on that picture, but that's not quite correct. We are looking at soft and medium tyres for these guys, so they were all doing their qualifying on the soft tyres, but they will have to use both this round. And it looks like it's a fairly even split based on last week as to whether the 1-stop or 2-stop is the best strategy. So hopefully we'll be seeing a mix-up of strategies tonight. A couple of people trying to run long, a couple of people trying to run short and quick. Could be very interesting for us this evening, I think. Division 4, late morning, and Division 2 in the afternoon. See these guys on track very, very shortly. We'll have a look now at our results for qualifying Benia X takes the pole position with a 45.5. I can't recall where that would have got you in Div 3, but I think it would have been up there because they were in the 45s. Revs Law, P2 in the GDR with a 45.6, very close to unseating Benia right at the end, but he lost it all in the last sector. Such a shame. But BF in P3 in that 2016 Mercedes, not opting to use the 2020 as option this week. Womble in P4 in the Supra, a great qualifying from Womble. He'll be looking to hold on to that for the race this time around. Snake Eyes in P5 in the 911 for ISA Esports. Malevolent One in the BRZ up in P6 for Deeds Racing. ISA Renegade in P7 for HomeCorp, the sister car of Revs Law up in P2. So he'll be looking to get closer to his teammate to give him a helping hand to get ahead of Benia up there at some point. And don't forget that GDR is a rocket ship off the line in comparison to the Supra. So we're probably going to see a Nissan leading into turn 1 at the start of this race. Dazza Sturley in the GR Supra Racing Concept down in P8. P9, Laminator, GR Supra as well. Good Doc in the 458 for Blacklight Motorsport. Debrev in the 650S for CP Motorsports. Petey Pops in the Alpha 4C. Keza in the BRZ. And a guy with no skills in the GDR. Does that result of qualifying surprise you at all, Graham?
Just the some of the players, like I don't think qualifying is certainly going to be representative of the race. Any one of those, the way strategies play out, I'm just looking at the times. So the first 6 are 145s. That's absolutely in Div 3 territory. And the others are only a sort of half second away. So it's actually a really tight field. And I think strategy will be the king here.
It's a very close qualifying. There's half a second separating the top 8. So
that's
very,
right.
very close qualifying. And one of those ones, we're still seeing the same names at the top, but the guys behind them are not far away whatsoever. And I'm thinking we need to watch out for Snake Eyes in P5. So he had a bit of a shocker in the race last round at Interlagos because he was just getting to grips with everything. He had great qualifying, but couldn't quite get his strategy together for the race. But for this one, I think that 911 might be a dark horse in this race because it's very good on its tyres and it's very good on its fuel. And given how hard it was for some of the guys last week to make the one-stop work, because you have to save the tyres a lot, you have to save the fuel a lot, I think that Porsche might be the only car in this lobby that can make a one-stop work. I'd say maybe the GDRs as well, but we might be seeing a better strategy from Snake Eyes than the rest of the field, and he might actually find himself in the podium position tonight. That's my hot tip. That's my my outside bet for you guys this evening. Let us know what you think will happen down in the chat. And don't forget to hit that like button on the Sector 1 Sim Racing YouTube channel and subscribe as well if you're enjoying the content and you're not a subscriber already. If you want to see more, ring that notification bell. We are live every Sunday and Thursday for our main series and the community series. And if you want to get involved, the Discord's in the description as well. Anyone can join. And just get involved. It's a whole lot of fun, as you're seeing tonight. So, I'd say we're probably just about ready to get this race on. What do you reckon?
We'll get yep, absolutely. And yeah, 4 different brands are in the top 6. So that's a balance, that one.
Yeah, great mix.
Yeah.
Great mix. We love to see it.
All right. Thunderbirds, I go.
Awesome stuff. And it's not surprising to see for Div 4 at this point as well. The mix of cars has been absolutely insane the entire season. These guys are really getting the most out of the cars that they've selected, making it work up and down. So great stuff to see. So we'll be off and running very shortly. A reminder, we are at Watkins Glen. There's your track map, of course. Take note of the bus stop chicane at the top of the circuit. Very high speed. No overtaking usually taking place there, but a bit on the way in because there's a long full power section all the way up there. All right, here we go. And they're away. We're on board with Snake Eyes at the moment. Heading down to turn 1. Oh, a bit of a rough and tumble for these guys, and they're off, and I think that's too many cars involved. It's been a disaster off the start of the race. 3 cars off the track there.
They're all moving.
Laminator and Snake Eyes receiving the worst of it. What do you think, Graham? Do you think that warrants a red flag?
Yeah, with the 3, and they qualified well.
Alrighty, we'll throw it in. We'll change it. We'll go back to our starting grid and get these guys off and running again. A shame, but these things happen sometimes with the latency of Gran Turismo 7. The server issues that we've been having from the start of the game, you know, they still plague us to this day, but you know, just one of those things that we've got to grin and bear. You guys have to give extra room. It's really difficult sometimes as well. You've got to give that extra little bit of room to account for the latency in this game. But hopefully, working on it, getting there. One of those things that will be improved with time. And so far, it's been pretty good tonight, hasn't it, Graham? It's been fairly drivable, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I haven't seen anyone with any issues. It's been stable. Yeah. I'll get this sorted. I'll just let everyone know. Just got a few more to get back into the pits.
All right, we'll count it as a test start for these guys. And let's see what people have been saying in the chat. We're happy with the quali. Snake Eyes for the win from Budsy. Lag all the way. Yep, 100%. One of those things that we've got to take care of course. A lot of support for Snake Eyes in the chat. Let's go Snake Eyes. Love to see it. So, Snake Eyes has some people in his corner for this race. Let's have a quick reminder while we're waiting around. Standings of Division 4 at the moment. So, remembering your qualifying result. Revs Law at the top. We had Benny X, of course, down in P5 on pole position, and Revs Law in P2. So, taking the fight to the podium races at the moment. And Renegade, of course, with a slightly disappointing qualifying with P7 down there in P3 at the moment. So, he's not far off the top guys either. But the battle between VF and Revs Law rages on. 1 point between them at the moment. Crazy. So close up the top. And in a Mercedes, no less. VF has really proven his stuff this season. As well as the other guys around him. You know, Revs, Renegade, Benia. These guys have been super quick all season. And the guy with no skills has been, like I say, consistently P5, P4, that sort of position. And it's been great stuff. You might have to set the grid by host.
Host, yep. Just changing it now.
Yeah, because we had an exit of the lobby. The issues continue for Division 4 this evening, so we'll be back with that shortly. We'll head to a intermission in the meantime while we wait for this to all get sorted. So we'll be back with you very shortly. Welcome back, Sector 1 Sim Racing fans from Australia, New Zealand, and around the world. I am your host, Atom, and we are back with more action from Watkins Glen. Of course, we have had a little bit of a delay with some technical difficulties from Gran Turismo 7, as is situation normal. But we are ready to rock and roll for race number 1 of the evening, and that is Division 4, following our qualifying session that has just been and gone. So, time to go. Let's get it going. Who's excited?
Start it again.
Ready to rock and roll. Here we go. Division 4 action coming at ya. Don't forget your table of standings that we had this evening. We've had displayed already. Revs Law up the top to be challenged by Benia from pole position this time around. Very, very exciting stuff. And here we go. The guys are on the grid. Everyone's ready to rock and roll. Watch out for that GDR off the start. It's a rocket ship off the line as well as that Mercedes. Those Supras are very, very slow off the line. So let's see what happens here. 5 lights up, ready to rock and roll. The driver's revs are up. There's a false start from a Porsche at the back and the drivers are away. The Porsche's going to fall way back down the field here. And the jump from Revs Law up the inside on the way to turn 1 as they barrel down. Let's see if there's any contact on the way in. There's a lot of movement going on. Guys heading in and the Nissan out front gets sideways on exit, and Benia back up to P1 here. Straight off the bat, looks behind him. There's Malevolent One, who's had a fantastic start. The Mercedes on the grass back there. Guys trying to go too wide here on the way up the hill. Very, very hard to do. They're nearly too wide back there as Benia approaches the bus stop chicane. Looks like Malevolent One's going to have a look, but he's more defending from ISA Renegade behind, who's up to 3rd from his starting position. Getting very close to that that BRZ there, who gets very loose on exit and heads out wide. The Nissan's looking to the inside, can't quite get it done. That BRZ's cornering speed is unreal here, and Benia appears to have got away with a lot here.
Yeah, and a great start from the good doc, P10 up to P5.
Oh, look at that. That's fantastic. We missed so much action back there, but we were keeping an eye on the guys up the front. We'll see if we can catch any replays up the front, but it looks like there's been some incidents at the back. Womble RMR is facing the wrong way, and so is a guy with no skills, trying to get going again. There they are. Look up the front. The BRZ looking to the inside of the Supra there. Can't quite get it done. The 2 Nissans behind fighting tooth and nail here. Look at this down the inside from the BRZ, trying to go up the inside of the Supra. Can he get it done? Not quite. On board now with Revs Law, your championship leader, behind his teammate, Renegade, as they head into the final 2 corners of the lap. A little bit wide there for Revs, but he keeps it on the track. Renegade might have a look at the BRZ at some point up here. That GDR is not too bad in a straight line. It's certainly better than the BRZ. Let's see what he can do. Good Doc hanging tough as well. Down the inside for Renegade of the BRZ. Can he make it through? There's a bit of contact at the apex, but it looks like he was simply turned in on, but we'll definitely leave that one to the stewards. Malevolent 1 falls back to P4. On board now. Chasing down the GDRs in front. The Supra's getting away, boys. You can't let him get away. That thing is a rocket in a straight line. The GDRs have no chance of catching it through this part of the lap. They have to catch it through the corners, and here we go into the bus stop. That massive curb on the inside, you have to leap the whole thing to get a good run through here. And out they come into the sweeping right-hander. Now this is where your tyres are going to fall away. You're going to burn up that left front and end up with nothing left before you've even gone 10 laps. So these guys running down the inside from Malevolent 1 on Rev's Law. Very aggressive move there on the championship leader. They're still side by side as they come into the toe of the boot. Rev's Law ends up wide. He's going to have to settle back in. Group of about 8 cars up here. 7, I think, all together. No one getting away.
And all running very different tyre strategies.
Okay.
So there's yeah, really interesting when it's time.
We'll get back to that when we can with our APR tyre and fuel update. But for now, we're looking at ISA Renegade taking on the leader in Benia X. He's so much faster through this middle sector in the GDR than the Supra out front. Doing everything he can, but Benia's through here in front and he's going to be safe for the next little while. That GDR is not going to be able to do anything on the run up to the bus stop. Let's have a look. We'll jump on board with Renegade and let's see what the difference is in a straight line up here. Into turn 1. Here we go. But the exit from the GDR is not too shabby. It's about the same as the Supra, and into the toe we go. And look at that. The Supra is already pulling away. Let's see what changes happen up here. Uphill we go. Into the left. They're up into 6th gear already. Depends who's saving fuel at this point. We'll see what they're doing a bit later on. But look at the gap that the Supra is pulling. It's already further away. As we head up towards the braking zone, it's still pulling with the GDR and the slipstream. That is absolutely insane. And nothing that the GDR can do about it. So this is why it's crucial that the GDR drivers are pushing as hard as they can through the corners to catch up with the car. And look at that. Through the sweeper already, he's closed up a whole lot and made that gap nice and close. And he might be able to get an opportunity later on in the lap. There we go. Look at the brakes there from the GDR. Pushing it all the way. He's not being kind to his tyres at all. But perhaps that track position is more important to him. As Benia goes wide, he's going to look to the inside. Here we go. Down towards the toe of the boot. Up the hill goes the GDR. It's definitely going to get the pass here because it looks so much faster in those corners than that Supra. But we'll see if Benia has a response in the power section on the next lap. Great pass from Renegade. He takes the lead of the race on the 3rd lap here. Ahead of Benia and his teammate Rev's Law, who qualified both pole on the front row there for those 2 cars. A little bit of contact as they head through the ankle part of the boot. Renegade looks to be pulling away nicely now. He's a 2nd clear. So this is suggesting to me that perhaps Renegade has started on the soft tyres while the guys behind him have started on something slightly slower. But if that's the case, I think Benny has done a fantastic job of holding him up as much as he needs to here. And now he's got a rear mirror full of Rev's Law to contend with as they head to the power section once again. Have a look further back. VF currently sitting behind Dazza and the Good Doc in that Mercedes. Now, once again, we don't know what tyres these guys are on yet, but we're probably looking at a bit of a mix-up here. Snake Eyes has had a decent start in P7 here. I think that's 1 position up from where he started, so not doing too badly. But he'll definitely want to get his strategy right here after seeing what happened at Interlagos last time around. But settling into a rhythm, it seems, in that Porsche for ISA Esports. Looking good, for sure. He's about a 1.5 seconds behind VF here. And looking to probably chase that down. Malevolent 1 as well in the Deeds entry. Not far behind him either. So that Subaru as well, a lot of you may know, is very, very good on its tyres. Probably better than the Porsche. Although the Porsche no slouch either. But that BRZ definitely has the most tyre life out of the entire lobby. And of course, the fastest apex speed out of every car on track right now. Petey Pops has done well as well to net himself a 3 position gain off the start there. He's now found himself in P9 in that Alfa Romeo, ahead of Laminator, who's had a great season so far. Currently down in P10. He actually crashed out a little bit earlier on the first lap, I think it was, and he's fought his way back up to P10. So not doing too bad, but it looks like the other guys might be falling back to him a little bit as well. Keza in P11 in the beautiful looking Subaru BRZ there. The white, green, blue and pink looks fantastic on that car, and I love to see it. Brev in P12 for CP Motorsports, currently in a bit of no man's land, but he'll be hoping the race comes back to him a little bit later. A guy with no skills. Sorry, I think it was a guy with no skills, not Laminator, who also spun out earlier on in the race. So that was my mistake, but he's not far off the pack in front. Have a look now as we come on to the power section once again. Reb's Law still following Benier, so he wasn't able to get by on that last lap, and Dazza Sturley is closing in on these guys. He's within a second of Rev's Law, so they're going to have to start checking their rear view mirrors very shortly to see what's going on here. Kraken Esports driver will be looking to make life difficult for these guys up the front. Five laps deep now, and we're starting to see a bit of a tree emerging here in the form of the timing tree. Of course, that was a bit of a weird metaphor, but we'll roll with it nonetheless. Renegade leads the way. He's still doing personal best laps, while Dazza Sturley has the fastest lap at the moment of 45.9. So he's chasing these two in second and third here. He's right on the back of them now as well. So he's probably on the soft tyres as well, while Benier and Rev's probably on the mediums, I would think. And they haven't fallen too far behind Renegade here. He's only 3 seconds clear after being ahead of them for 3 laps. So about a second a lap he's pulling out, which I suppose is standard, but he'll definitely want a bigger gap than that when it comes time to pit. And we're looking at about 10 laps being the pit window for the soft tyres. So we'll see what he does there. Benier looking at like he's struggling to hold off Rev's Law here. Rev's, of course, with a emphatic display last round at Interlagos in the Sylvia. Fantastic drive from him, netting him a win by over 30 seconds, I think it was. So he'll be looking to replicate form like that tonight as he sticks his nose up the inside of Benier there. Having a little look, but not able to make anything come of it just yet. That power of that Supra on the straight, just a little bit too much for him. You look at that delta to Renegade coming down. It was 3.2. It's going to be 3 seconds by the time they reach the bus stop here. And Dazza Sturley, he's going to have to get by. He's got a penalty.
Yeah.
It's the last thing he wanted. He's having such a good race. A half second, so a track limit penalty that he's obtained somewhere, probably on the exit of turn 1, I would imagine, as it's very easy to do there. And of course, this will be his first lap probably in the dirty air of the drivers in front, so he's got a new thing that he's seeing, and he goes up the inside of Rev's Law, taking him by surprise there, and he's going to serve the penalty here and lose that position again, but he had to make that move, I think. The door was open, and there wasn't really any other part of the track to use there, so Dazza, with a bit of contact with Revs and a bit deep in that corner as well, almost looked like he was going straight for Revs' car, but nothing doing. He'll have to try again.
He's just carrying a lot of pace into the braking area.
He's doing well so far, but he's allowed Good Doc and VF to come back into this battle a little bit. They're still there. Good Doc having a great race so far after not so great of a qualifying.
Really consistent times with Good Doc and VF. Very consistent.
One of those things we love to see. So they're just within range from Dazza Sturley in front, who is attacking the drivers in front of him. The Nissan GDR, of course, trying to put up a defense. He's actually pulled quite a big gap here on the way into the power zone. Let's actually see if Rebs can make anything happen here. Jump on board. On the way to the bus stop, let's see if the slipstream can make any difference. Is Benier on a fuel save? Is it affecting him? Rebs choosing to sit outside of the slipstream. Clearly not worried about trying to make an overtake at this point. Perhaps he's saving the car. He might be looking after his fuel and tyres. Just looking to reduce his pace a little bit and force his stint to go a couple of extra laps over Benier here. Because as we know, that Supra is not the best car on its tyres. and that might be to Benny's advantage later on in this race. We look here, will he go down the inside at the toe? Seems to be a favourable overtaking position for these guys. Up the hill they go, across the penalty serving zone. No one serving a penalty this time around. Gonna look to the inside. Revs Law down the inside of Benny X. Into the heel of the boot. Makes it, gets it done. Great move from Revs there. Benny and
BF is a lot of pressure on the good doctor from BF.
Yeah, VF not making it easy for the good dog. And they're bringing Snake Eyes back into it as well. He's not far off these guys.
Yeah, and again, lap times, picture of consistency.
And this is the point now too. The tyres will start coming away from that Ferrari. We know it's not great on its tyres. It'll be wearing out the rears a lot faster than everyone else. But having said that, this track favours cars that don't wear the left front, so maybe the Ferrari will actually be remarkably good on its tyres around here. You never know. We'll have to see how that goes for him, but generally with the Ferrari, you're looking at well-worn rear tyres a lot earlier than the rest of the grid generally. As a still trying to hunt down Benia. Can't quite get close enough. BF pounding the good dock at the moment as well. Very interested to see what they're on. In fact, let's have a tyre and fuel update, shall we, Graham? I think it's time to let our viewers know what we're working with.
No worries, and a really interesting picture. It took 4 or 5 laps to sort itself out, but at the front we've got Renegade. He started on racing softs, and he's got just a bit over a third of a tank. I'd say he's got another lap, and he'll be interchange. That front left, it's a Supra and AMG thing. Revs, he started on mediums, pretty healthy tyre life, similar fuel load to Renegade in front, running on mediums. Benia, Supra. Front starting to wear a fair bit, but it's mediums, so he'll get through a decent stint. 1/3 on fuels. Yeah, that front left was getting quite low. So yeah, top 3 are all around the same fuel. We got good dock in the Ferrari. Front left on mediums, not too bad, although the rear's wearing a bit more than the other cars. And again, almost identical fuel. VF, mediums.
I think we've missed Dazza here.
Dazza?
Breaking the car.
Yeah, so he's down to quarter of a tank. Front left is gone. It's red. He should come in this lap. You can push a second lap on Rev. Yeah, he's on softs, so he had to make that break at the start. Where were we? VF. Yeah, so VF's got a little bit better fuel. Tyres, that front left is only a third left on the mediums. Snake Eyes in the Porsche. Probably the best tyres out of the lot, similar fuel to VF, and consistent lap times as well. Just started to fall into the 48s. Yeah, he's on mediums.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, I think that car's going to be better on tyres than most of the rest of the field. It's great to see.
Yeah, and almost identical lap times to the AMG in front. Malevolent One on racing softs. Front left is gone, just under a quarter of a tank, so he'll be interchange that. Laminator racing softs as well. He's got a skerrick of wear left on the front left, and right on a quarter of a tank, so he'll be in for his first pit, maybe at the end of current lap 9. Poppers on medium, really good tyre wear, and probably the best fuel of the whole lot at over a third of a tank. Keza, really good on the about halfway on the front left. He's on mediums and just a touch over quarter of a tank. Guy with no skills, racing softs, he's going around again, but that front tyre, front left is screaming. It's all red, right on a quarter of a tank. Debrev mediums, similar to the others, just a touch over quarter of a tank. Oh, and a big dive under debrief on the corner.
That looks like a redress to me, though.
Yeah, it did. He did well. And look, that's a factor of the tyres as they're getting down to your braking marks change. Renegade racing medium, so he's pitted. He's come off his softs. He's on to mediums. This is first flyer on that, and yeah, it looks like he filled to the brim. Dazo 13, fresh set of racing mediums, full tank, and Womble has got about 10% of the front left on softs. Front left, and quarter of a tank.
That's a lot of tyre life left. It's a shame he's so far down. He might have been really competitive up there.
Yeah, he's done really well. 10 laps. You can get 11 laps out, but you're really running the last 2 on nothing left, and you've got to be very careful in your turn-ins. But no, he'll probably come in, if not this lap, one more. So he'll go 11 laps, I think, on softs.
Good stuff. So that concludes our APR Automotive Tyre and Fuel update. Let's have a look back up with our leader now, Revs Law, leading the way. Of course, we've had a couple of guys come into the pit, including his teammate Renegade. He's actually cleared 4 seconds on Benny here. So his tyre life has really come back to help him late on in the stint. So, of course, 11th lap now. It looks like Revs Law and Benia will be going for the one stop.
One stop, yep.
As well as Good Doc. Well, everyone who hasn't pitted yet, really. So our pitters are Renegade and Daza. They're the ones to watch by the looks as Renegade goes around the outside of a couple of pitters coming in. Into lap 10, a guy with no skills and Debrev come in. I think Debrev might look at 2 stops because he's just coming off the medium. Probably not going to make 14 laps on softs. I wouldn't say.
I think the top 5 are one stopping.
Okay, well, so Renegade versus Revs Law, the 2 teammates. It might come down to that. These guys have performed well all season. Pooncorp coming into Sector 1 with a bang on their debut season with, I think, 3 debut maiden drivers for the season, rookies. And, of course, the experience of TX3 GDR, 3-time championship winner all the way up in Division 1. So, clearly, the knowledge being trickled down to the teammates here in Division 4. Smashing some good results, but interesting to see a diversion in strategy between those two. A 2-stop and a 1-stop, we would think, anyway. It looks like Benny is probably going to be forced to come in this lap because he's very off the pace, and Revs Law is going to go around for one more.
Yeah, to 1-stop really need to get to lap 13 for the 1-stop. That gives you 11 left on softs. It gets a bit harder to run that extra lap on softs, and also fuel too. It's easier to do by the numbers, but if you get into a race, it definitely changes the dynamics on your fuel save.
Yeah, the fuel is the tough one, and for that Supra as well, it's very difficult. And the case in point, the Levelant one, down to 2 litres now at the halfway point, so he's going to need a full tank to get to the end here. So in the fuel goes there. Keza Johnson coming past in P7, he'll take over the front runner of BRZs for the race, ahead of his rival at Deeds. Renegade currently sitting in P8, so he's not doing too bad. 2 147s there, so he's on the mediums now. We're probably going to see him pit at the end of lap 16, I would think, for some more softs. He's going to have his work cut out for him here.
Yeah, the guys in the front on mediums, they're running pretty consistent 47s, or if they do drop into the 48s, it's not by much, so which is the right time for mediums on the first stint.
Benny must have a full red left front because he is 3 seconds down on his best time, and his last lap was a 49.3, and Revs is still in the 47s, so he's really
about 1 mil. No, he just went red. So if he runs lap 13, it'll be on a red front, left front.
And he might have to at this point because he's realistically at the end of the 12th lap. You kind of have to commit to the 1-stop. Although he's got a good dock breathing down his neck there in P3 in that Ferrari. Revs comes in off the mediums. He's run out of fuel. 3 litres.
Benny's gone around.
Is going for one more. Insane. How has he saved that much fuel, I wonder? Good Dog's in with 5 litres. VF goes around again, followed very closely by Snake Eyes. When did that happen? Snake Eyes is close right up to him. His tyres are really coming back to him in the late part of the stint. Let's see if we can get by VF here on the way up to the bus stop. On board now, the ISA Esports Porsche, chasing down the Datsun Racing 2016 AMG GT3 race car. Look at that, the Bacchus branding on the car. And it sounds like Snake Eyes is thinking more about his fuel capacity than he is about overtaking the... Ooh, what colour are we? Bronze and gold for Datsun? Would you say those are their colour schemes?
Yeah, bronze, bit of black. That,
Bronze, black, and gold.
Bacchus colouring, yep.
That's beautiful colouring, isn't it? It looks fantastic on those ladies.
Yep. And it's actually a really nice car to drive around here. And it plays to the one stop quite well. I reckon these two are in a really good posse getting this 13th lap. The two in front will have to run that extra lap on softs, which will fuel won't be a worry, but that extra lap on softs will, can be challenging if these two are behind them.
Benny is going to have a lot of work to do to catch Revs if he wants to. He is going to get one less lap on the softs, which is going to benefit him in the long run, but I think that extra lap is not quite going to count for enough. He was 8 seconds down on Revs at the end of the last lap. And
yeah, his 12th lap was about 3-4 seconds off.
Oh yeah, and he's coming around now. This is going to be a fairly slow lap as well, I would think. So
yeah, he has to go in here. Yep.
There we go. All 3 of them will come in this time around.
Yep.
So
VF, Snake Eyes.
Petey Pops maybe? Or Renegade. Renegade's going to have him, I think.
Petey Pops has got the tyres and fuel to do it, just whether he wants to run the overcut. And I think he it's going around.
The Renegade
Otherwise it was going to be a big pit penalty.
Yeah.
You scared me for a minute.
In the lead, Petey Pops, followed by, I don't know if I want to say our net leader, because we're expecting another stop from Renegade here. But we'll see how far ahead he is of his competitors down there. They are, of course, they've used more fuel and they're putting more fuel in now, so they're a bit out of sequence with him. Revs is out. He's about
and Renegade short fuel just to run that medium stint.
So the others have filled to the end, and he's got to do one more stop and do more fuel. So he should, in theory, be quite far ahead of those guys. But only 8 seconds right now ahead of Revs Law. I think he's probably going to find himself a long way back.
Yeah, I just want to call out that new livery on the Doghouse Alpha. That is unbelievable.
Look at that, around the outside too. As we have a look at that livery, look at that. Renegade down the inside of Petey Pops as they head into the boot. Where he goes into the race lead.
Yeah, and that was just fresher tyres, a lot of fuel.
Yeah, 100%. The Petey Pops is on the last legs of that Alpha right now, so he will be pitting in very soon. And Renegade is... Those mediums will be very healthy right now, I would imagine, because he's not running them to the full extent of their life here. He's just putting in the motions and get himself through as many laps as possible to make those 2 soft stints work. I'd be interested to see if he pits into lap 16 or into lap 15. But either way, he's going to find himself a long way back from the competitors he was racing earlier on. We'll have a look at our updated table here. Benia is actually Dazza and Good Doc is a interesting battle right now. So Good Doc's, he's jumped Dazza in the pits after tire change, possibly due to fuel. So Petey Pops is in now from the mediums with 1 litre of fuel left. So we'll reset our timing ladder across the line here. So Good Doc's in a really good spot here. So he'll be on the softs now, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's on the softs. And he filled up, so I'd say he's going to run home from here.
Oh wow, he's very brave with those rear tyres acting the way they do on that car, but he's looking pretty good for it right now. So Benia finds himself the big loser out of the pit stop sequence, but he's got 11 laps to run on the softs to get to the end. So he's not in a bad position for tyre life, but he's going to have his work cut out for him to catch as many people in the front as he can. Although, having said that, given his position in the standings at the moment, Benia will benefit from a podium finish, even if, you know, he might be going for the win. And the two Hooncorp guys, seemingly in a league of their own at the moment. Revslaw once again putting in a fantastic display here at Watkins Glen. Renegade only 5 seconds up the road from his teammate now, and the gap is closing. That's that tyre difference. Revslaw on the softs, Renegade on the mediums. Renegade will be in very shortly to put on his last set of softs.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure what's happened. My screen's showing VF back out on mediums, which I'm sure he did the first stint on mediums.
Have a quick look on our main screen. Showing that for me too. But is it possible that he did his first stint on the softs?
Oh, I thought they were mediums because he went the 13 laps on it. But
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
He's in a pretty good position for someone who's gone medium if that is the case.
Yeah, and look, that could. Yeah, although he'll need to use both at some point, so it's another pit stop. Yeah.
So, assuming he didn't use the softs in that stint, he is looking at a penalty unless he does another stop and puts the softs on. And that time is now. Into lap 16 is generally the window we're looking at for the two stoppers to come in for their second stop. Put those soft tyres on. Have a look at Snake Eyes once again. The dark horse of the race in the Porsche. The race hasn't quite come back to him so much as I thought it would.
He's got a very good car under him with those stats, yeah.
Yeah, position-wise, track position-wise, it's not looking fantastic for him at the moment. But we saw his tyre wear in the first stint and how he outperformed the guys around him. So I think we might see more of the same in this stint, hopefully for him. That results in a net gain towards the end of the stint. Malevolent One's not far behind either in that BRZ. There in the Deeds entry ahead of Debrev. He's kind of putting in the laps at the moment, going through the motions. 47s for the last 2 laps in a row. Revslaw out by himself. Good Doc under less pressure from Dazza now, who's coming under pressure from Benier actually. So roles reversed now. Dazza, of course, spent the first stint on the soft tyres. He'll now be on the mediums, and Benier's on the softs. So this ought to be interesting here. We'll see what the difference is in pace between these guys. Benier's going to have to get by as quick as he can if he wants to go in pursuit of Good Doc. Let's see. Renegade has not come in yet. Into the wall for Dazza as well. That's going to concede the position early for him. Although, I wonder if that was a tactic. Could be. I'm going to throw it out there. We've seen this before in the World Tours of 2019. I think it was Igor Fraga did a very similar thing. Didn't run into the wall, but he let off the throttle on the exit of the corner and allowed a driver pass, much like we've just seen from Dazza. But it looks like it's not what I was thinking of. He then slingshotted past on the way up the next big straight, so it was possible there for a second. I thought maybe Dazza had bumped into the wall on purpose to let Benier through and try and get a tow up towards the bus stop.
It'll definitely help him with fuel. If he can just, although he's just dropped 3/10, but he was in that sort of tow range heading up the main straight.
Yeah, it might have helped him for a minute there, but yeah, he was never going to keep up with Benier on that tyre disadvantage here. But what he'll be hoping, I think, for Dazza will be that Benier's tyres wear out soon, and those mediums end up kind of balancing out with them, and they can race again. So we'll see if that comes around as well, because that's the other interesting factor to take into account for this race here.
Yeah, those softs. Yeah, another 3 laps, so there'll be that convergence point between the two.
Okay, so up the front now. This is interesting. Renegade is around for an 18th lap. Does he have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race?
No. Oh, actually, it's close.
Ooh. So maybe.
If they're racing each other, that'll really challenge that.
Well, I think the idea for Renegade here would be to sit in the toe of his teammate and save some fuel. Because that would be probably the best thing to do in this case, because it looks like it's now too late, really.
Actually,
Go
no,
for
I
it,
think they're on different strategies because Revs has got carrying twice the fuel.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
Renegade's probably not going to make it, but that's interesting. Because he would have got 8 laps on the softs if he'd pitted at the end of lap 16, but he's gone around for 2 more. And now he's only going to get 6 laps out of those softs and miss out on probably 2 or 3 seconds of time.
Yeah. And that extra lap here can be quite, can show quite a time difference up because the outlap on, if you're running an extra lap on mediums, that outlap lap on softs can pull a couple of seconds back quite easy.
100%. It's interesting. I'm very surprised to see him not box the softs there if he's not going to make it to the end. Now, the one I'm watching here is Benia. He was 3 seconds behind Good Doc when he passed Dazza earlier on. And he's now 2 seconds behind. So he's pulling a lot of time on the Ferrari, Blacklight Motorsport. Good Doc's on the softs as well, but those tyres might be starting to wear out now. And the other interesting battle is Snake Eyes in the background there, on the back of VF as well. So it's getting spicy there. There comes Renegade into the pits with 20 litres left on board. So yeah, definitely not going to make it to the end on that. So he'll put on the softs, I would imagine. Doesn't look like it. He's not putting the soft tyres on, according to what I'm seeing. Actually, that might be a glitch in the display.
Delay. Yep.
Have a look once he gets moving. On board with him. Moving in the pits, he's put a bit of fuel in. See if
And
that
Snake
end
Eyes is
changes to an S. There we go.
Right
So
on the back of VF at the moment.
Yeah, that's an interesting battle, that is. I think that Porsche is going to have something to say to that Merc at the end of this straight. Let's see. But neither of them particularly strong in a straight line. A fairly equal battle. Snake Eyes getting himself some nice clean air. Is he going for a move? I don't think so. Being very, very patient with it. In the ice race.
and
He's
wide.
gone very wide there and throwing way off his line on entry. And that's set him back a lot. 2 seconds for that moment. Have a look back at Benia. He's chasing down the Good Dog. He's found another second. That Ferrari is struggling. There's still 5 laps to go at the end of this one. You got to remember, Benia's got to do 11 laps on that soft tyre, which is a lot for a soft at the best of times. So, see if that wear
5 to
gets to him
go,
as much
he's-
as it gets to the Good Dog.
Yeah, he's actually handling it all right. He's about halfway down on that front left, so
That's not too bad. He's
And-
passed halfway through the stint at the end of this.
yep. And Lucas isn't much disadvantaged, so I think it'll be on with these two guys right to the end.
I think he's so close now. Benny is probably going to take him on the way up to the bus stop here. That Ferrari, I doubt, will have an answer to the power of the Supra coming out of turn 1. Let's have a look. Go on board with Benny here. Into turn 1. Just a nice clean corner is all he needs, and he'll probably have the pace to get by the Good Dog. He's already got a better exit here. Half a second is the gap. Let's see what the slipstream does for the Supra. Watch that gap come down. It's 3/10 now. It's dropping rapidly. He's got more toe than a Roman sandal in the Supra. And by the Ferrari he goes, and he's purple by 2/10. That toe making a huge difference up the back straight there. And the Supra goes through into P2. That's exactly what he wanted. An easy pass for Benia. No trouble for him whatsoever. And now he's just got to pull away. Good Dog flashing his lights at him, trying to distract him, make him move back. That Ferrari's going to be fairly quick through the middle sector here, so Benia's got to watch his back mirrors. Go on board with the Good Dog. Have a look here. They come through the boot. Oh, a little bit of a moment there on the way through. Bit of oversteer and a correction. He's gone out wide on the grass, Good Dog. The pressure was too much for him. He was working too hard to catch that Supra. And he's put it off. And he's copped a penalty too. Half a second for losing half a second.
Yeah.
The logic of this game is baffling. But Gran Turismo 7, we know it, we love it, we hate it. But here we are playing it. So half a second will be served by the Good Dog.
And while that was happening, Revs has dropped to 145.15, which is a super lap.
He's untouchable,
And-
this guy.
yeah,
23
he is.
seconds clear. Mental. Good Doc's in. Why's the Good Doc coming?
I'm
Were
not
his
sure.
tyres dead?
No, I think he... 3 laps to go after this.
He's going for the
Could have made
fastest
it.
lap? Surely not. He's going to lose positions.
Unless that fuel burn was showing that he wasn't going to make it, but he was pretty similar to Benia.
Yeah, he's got about as much as VF there. That's interesting.
Yep, so VF has come in for those tyres, so it looks like it was a pit crew mistake there on that first stop.
Some very interesting strategy calls tonight. VF
Yeah.
ends up with a second stop with 4 laps to go instead of making use of the last 8 to run the softs. And
Yeah,
Good
and
Doc
he's,
much the same.
And still holding P7, which he's done well to minimise that damage.
Yeah, look, it's not bad for VF and the Good Doc. They're in 6th and 7th respectively for what appears to be a bungled 2-stop. And VF now with a guy with no skills not far behind him either, who had a big spin earlier on. Great comeback from a guy with no skills to be P8. Had Petey Pops and Laminator there, having a bit of a battle at the back. Laminator with a 1-second penalty. He will serve and probably concede his position to Dazza. What happened to Dazza? He was in such good form in the first stint. I don't understand why he's found himself so far back.
He's running mediums. It looks like he's done a long run on the mediums to end because he's got pretty much nothing left of the front left. Plenty of
Something's happened
fuel.
to him on lap 19.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
212. Yeah. Unless he hasn't pitted, so.
Such a shame. He was having such a good performance. Now this is interesting. Renegade, who's done a 2-stop, and again, a little bit of a bundled 2-stop, finds himself in P3, and Snake Eyes, the dark horse, in P4.
And he's dropped that gap down to just on a second.
He's coming within range of Renegade here. He could be on for a podium on only his 2nd race in Sector 1 Sim Racing. Go the Porsche
Certainly.
of ISA Esports.
Yeah, and certainly, like, Renegade's got better fuel, but Snake Eyes definitely got pace.
And they're both on the softs, yeah? They're both
Yep.
equal
Yep.
tyres. I know Renegade just pitted.
Renegade's pretty fresh on his softs, 3/4, where Snake Eyes down to his last third. On that left-hand side, which is the critical side.
So he's not in a
Yep.
good spot for his car compared to Renegade.
No.
But he was close. He
The-
has lost a bit of time to him in this lap as well. So perhaps it was a bit premature to think that he was going to challenge.
The other thing on the Porsche, it does wear both lefts hard, and the back left is probably less than the front at the moment for Snake Eyes. So.
He's done well.
Yep.
He's done very well this race. I'm very impressed with his performance. Although not entirely surprised after the qualifying. He showed flashes of brilliance last round at Interlagos. We know he's got pace and putting together a lot better than some of the guys on track tonight. Namely VF, Good Dog, and even Renegade, who had a bit of a bundled strategy. VF and P7. Looks like he'll probably stay there. Good Doc, kind of the same, although he's not too far from Malevolent One here. So he could get him
No.
back and get that fastest lap.
And actually, a really good battle, 8 to 12. This could change to the end.
Laminator's in. Laminator's coming in with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, certainly between 8th and 11th, there's less than a
look at
second. Well,
this.
they're all over each other.
Look at that. What's going on? Dazza is under attack from Petey Pops and Keza. And the guy with no skills has got away from these guys. Jump on board with Keza. What are we going to see here? Petey Pops on the back of Dazza, looking to the inside a little bit, very aggressive from Petey Pops. Getting right up on the rear bumper of that Supra through there. That Alpha showing its nimbleness through the bus stop. And through the right hander up the inside. Oh, he's copped the grass. And that's caused them to get a little bit sideways and lost him the momentum that he needed to get by that Supra. He was in a really good spot there, and he's got a whole lot more pace than that Supra in front of him. Dazza's really struggling on those tyres by the looks. Petey Pop's looking for every opportunity to get by. He's gone in a little bit fast though, and got sideways under brakes. Those rear tyres not cooperating when he needed them most. Oh no.
That's one thing the Alpha does, that rear tyre. It's pretty tricky, but yeah, it's just late in the race, light fuel loads, they're all going for it.
Yeah, he was. You could tell he was pushing as hard as he could, and just clearly just a little bit over the limit of the car. It's really difficult to brake and turn in a quite a loose mid-engine rear-wheel drive car like that Alpha. Turn and brake at the same time, and we saw what happened. You get too sideways, and it's really unsavable in that corner, and there he does it again. He's lost the car now. Those rear tyres have overheated, and it's just it's curtains, really. He'll never regain control of that car. No fault of his own, really. It's just wear on those rear tyres. Have a look now at Debrev on Keza. Breezes past him on the exit of turn 1, but there was a bit of contact on the way to the apex. We'll see if that move lasts in the eyes of the stewards. But Keza being left behind now by the McLaren, perhaps on a severe fuel save on account of perhaps being down by too much to make it to the end. Final lap now for the guys out the front. Revs Law will come across the line to take the win. We almost missed it there. 30 seconds clear of his teammate and Benia in P2, who's just going to hold on from Renegade by the look of things. 2 seconds over the Hooncorp driver there. He's just got to make it through the last couple of corners. There we go. Onto the final straight. Benia X will take P2 for Respawn Esports ahead of Renegade in the Hooncorp entry. A Hooncorp sandwich up the top. 2 podiums for the rookie team and the 2 rookie drivers. Snake Eyes will come across to take a fantastic P4, and that's a result he can be proud of. Good Doc with a P5 finish here, just ahead of VF. VF was knocking on the door in the late stages. Couldn't quite make it happen. Malevolent 1 in a P7. I feel like Malevolent 1 was in P7 for the entire race.
And a guy with no skills, Andy Brev, just got Dazza. 2 turns to go.
Look back. There they go, to the line. These guys come, and the McLaren's going to have a look. Debrev down the inside, not quite going to make it happen. A guy with no skills takes 8th. Debrev 9th. Dazza in 10th. Heather Johnson P11 after being left behind on that last lap. Laminator P12, and Petey Pops just behind him there, managing to recover the car a little bit, but those last couple of laps proving extremely difficult for him in that Alfa Romeo 4C. Laminator for Lightning Motorsport, P12, certainly not his best result of the season, but he got through, and it's points on the board. Petey Pops, the P13, and Womble in P14 comes across the line, not actually that far behind Petey Pops in the end. So yeah, once again, I think Womble could have had a really good result here if he hadn't been tossed around in the early stages.
Yeah, he was definitely on point with his qualifying and his initial race laps. He just had that issue. There was a bit of bumping early on, and just looking at that.
You get to see those incidents on a replay, but there was so much going on at the start that we couldn't really look around. Here are your results for Division 4. Provisionally, of course, Revs Law takes the win in the GDR Nismo GT3 and sets the fastest lap with a 45.152. So a great points haul for him and his team this evening. Benia X in P2 for Respawn Esports in the GR Supra Racing Concept. 30 seconds behind Revs Law. That guy he's really staking his claim here in Division 4 and showing what he's made of. Renegade in P3 in the GDR as well. So 2 great finishes for Hooncorp Esports here in Div 4. Snake Eyes with a fantastic P4, 911 RSR, a well-driven race, great drive from start to finish, and well-managed the tyres and the fuel as well. Didn't appear that anyone ran out of fuel, actually, but very impressive from Snake Eyes. Good dock in the 458, managed a P5 in the end. So a great result for him. Great to see that. Up in the top 5. VF in the Mercedes, down in P6. Not good for his championship hopes. He was challenging for the lead of the championship, and that's going to drop him down a little bit. But P6, it's damage limitation at this point. It could be worse. Malevolent 1 in P7 in the BRZ, and a guy with no skills rounds out your top 8 in the Black Rose GDR. Debrev in P9 in the 650S. Dazza in P10 in the GR Supra. After a fantastic first stint, fell down to the bottom end of the race a little bit at the end of the middle of the second stint, unfortunately. He had a great first stint there. Keza in the BRZ finishes P11. Laminator in the GR Super Racing concept from Lightning Motorsport finishes P12. PD Pops in P13. And Womble, after an early incident, finishes in 14. Any surprises for you there, Graham? I think pretty standard result. The big one that sticks out, of course, is Womble, who got turned around early on. And I think if it hadn't been for that, it could have been a very, very different race for us up the top.
Yeah, I definitely think he had the pace to make an impact there. Also, I mean, good Doc and VF with that last pit stop. I thought they were really on point for potential podium. And Snake Eyes, as ever, that was a super consistent drive. And the one that stands out for me a little bit was Renegade, because I'm pretty sure he did the 2 stops against his teammate who did 1.
He did,
and,
yeah.
you know, came in on the podium.
Pulled that extra lap and even nearly took on Benia at the end there, only 2 seconds separating them. So he's run a good drive. He's had good pace, clearly, Renegade rather. Although Benia as well. Not bad on the pace department either.
And also watching, you know, the ability of the RD to watch at the back of the race, but watching 8 to 12 in those last 3 or 4 laps.
Oh yeah, those guys really
they were
came
all
down
over
to
each
that.
other. Yeah.
Yeah,
there were no prisoners there.
Fantastic to see. I see a comment in the YouTube chat as well. A couple of ones about Revs. Revs a class above. Revs could probably fight in Div 2. He's absolutely rapid. It's like watching Formula 1 where you have to look from second down because you know who the winner's going to be every time.
Yep.
Revs Law being compared to Max Verstappen. It's not the worst comparison that you could possibly make, that's for sure.
But I definitely think he should bypass Div 3. Just saying.
Completely unbiased opinion, that one, isn't it?
Yep. Absolutely.
No, I love to hear it. Well, thank you very much for your help on the box, mate. It was a fantastic drive, fantastic race, and very well organised from yourself, especially with those technical difficulties we had at the start. So very well done.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
No, it's not a problem. We're moving on very shortly to race number 2 for the evening. We'll go to an intermission now. Go get yourselves a snack, use the bathroom, and then come on back for more fantastic racing action. Get excited. Division 2 is coming right up for you. Welcome back, Sector 1 sim racing fans from Australia, New Zealand, and around the world. We are back for more action at Watkins Glen International Speedway? Raceway? Road Watkins Glen? Speedway. Into something. It's Watkins Glen. We're here for Watkins Glen. Action at Watkins Glen, here in the heart of America. I think it's the heart at the very least. We're about to kick off Division 2 for you guys. More action coming your way, and as you guys will know, Division 2 always brings the goods. The question for this round is, will we see a Lenosis Masterclass as we're becoming accustomed to seeing in Division 2? So, I'm joined in the box this evening for Division 2 by Carbon Boy for a fantastic night of racing. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you very much. Looking forward to, well, what I'm assuming will be a little bit of a feisty race, based on what I've been seeing in the pre-event practice.
Well, that's good to hear, and probably going to see a bit of a mix-up of the strategy. I think, once again, we did see, of course, the two-stop versus the one-stop in Division 4 just previously, but we'll get into that very shortly. Here's a look at your Division 2 table as of the end of round 5. Lenosis leads the way with 145 points after coming up from the bottom of the grid, receiving a 20-point penalty at the start of the season for a vehicle change, along with his teammates at Obsession Motorsport. So he's tied for first place with Old Wakey for Kraken Esports, and I think Lenosis he's in the box seat right now. He had a dominant display at Interlagos for the last round, and I think he's on pace to do it again here at Watkins Glen. Old Wakey P2 and Stickers P3. He's had a couple of really good performances so far this season, and I think once the drop rounds are booted out for these guys at the end of the season, I think Stickers is going to be looking a bit stronger than he already is, because he's had one or two off rounds, I think, but he's been right at the top when he's needed to be, so that's why he finds himself in P3 at the moment. Lunacy in P4 on his debut season for Blacklight Motorsport in the Ferrari, and we saw the Ferrari in the first race for Lucas, or the Good Doc, the team owner for Blacklight, doing quite well, so we'll see if Lunacy can replicate his team owner's form. Evil Evo 9 for Doghouse in the Alpha down there in P5, DP Mario P6, Karen Unleashed, Race Fan, Crazy Good Kung Fu, Pat Star, Dadson, Maverick, Black Friday, and Salazar Black, who I think has been replaced at some point, but we'll get to that very shortly. I think we have a full complement tonight. Is that right, Carbon Boy?
We have 13 of, I believe, is 13 in Division 2.
So currently one driver short, so that's all good. But I think we're ready to get qualifying underway, are we?
We are good to go.
All right. So who's your hot pick, Carbon Boy? Who do you think's going to be putting it on pole this evening?
Oh, I can't be biased and say my teammate, but
I think you can, because it's not a bad shout.
I'm going to throw in a curveball. As much as I'd love my teammate to it, I think there's going to be a bit of a curveball from DP Mario.
In the Nissan GDR of all things as well.
Correct. Like I said, it's a bit of a curveball. Might be a very curved ball.
Might be, but no, he's had some good performances this season. We have seen flashes of brilliance from the Black Rose Racing driver, so it's not a bad shout. So I'm guessing he's been performing pretty well in practice then.
I have been seeing some very hot times in the pre-race practice sessions. Not to give too much away. Having said that, though, Lenosis obviously setting quick times. Black Friday's been doing rather well as well, and a lot of his practice was actually on the medium compound, so his times relative to the soft compound guys were not that far off.
And Black Friday's on debut, isn't he, too? So he's here for the first time, driving for Red Mist. Sector 1 debut, of course, so a unknown entity for these guys. So let's have a quick look at who we've got on track right now. So cruising, as we saw in the Blacklight Motorsport Ferrari, another one looking to replicate the team owner's form in race number 1 this evening, and our debutant Black Friday for Red Mist Racing in the Wayfarer car, I think that is, for Green Beacon. Looking fantastic as always. Lenosis, our championship leader at the moment, or tied championship leader in P3 for the APR-sponsored Obsession Motorsport. Car looking beautiful as always on those hot pit wheels. We love to see it. Evil Evo in the Alfa Romeo 4C for Doghouse Motorsport. Now, he's been looking quick all season, and I back him to do quite well here at Watkins Glen in that Alfa Romeo, although we saw what happened to the tyres at the end of the last race for Petey Pops. But Evil Evo, he might be able to extract that pace out of the car. We'll see what he can do here as we begin our first of the flying laps. Dadson in P5 in the Mercedes AMG GT3, and it appears he has also opted for the 2016 version to continue racing the rest of the season in place of a penalty for championship points. Pat Star in the Doghouse entry, the red car, much like the Red Mist uniform cars, different colours up and down, and looking fantastic. That red is a beautiful colour. Reminds me a little bit of the Mazda Soul Red Crystal, but slightly darker. More like if Soul Red Crystal was the colour of blood. Very, very dangerous looking colour for Pat Star there. Probably strikes fear into the hearts of his enemies.
And on the polar opposite of striking fear into the hearts of enemies, I was thinking it looks like one of the colours from the Mazda CX-9 range, which, being a bit of a soccer mum mobile, yeah, not that intimidating, to be honest. Beautiful colour. Beautiful colour.
It's that little bit darker, I think, gives it an edge. But in any case, Crazy Good Kung Fu in the Porsche for ISA Esports. We saw one of these in the last race, and he was fantastic on the strategy. So we'll see if Crazy Good Kung Fu can emulate that here in Division 2. He's all over the back of Pat Star at the moment. Race Fan in P8 for the CP Motorsports outfit in the McLaren. So we haven't seen much from the McLaren so far in this particular combination here at Watkins Glen. Lunacy in the Ferrari, as we said, looking to replicate his team owner's form in the last race. Old Wakey coming across the line very shortly for the Kraken Esports outfit in the Supra championship, tied championship leader in any case. DP Mario comes in, Karen Unleashed for Deeds team owner, and Stickers, of course, who's been performing very well this season, puts himself into P7, and provisionally Lenosis for Obsession on pole. What do you think?
I certainly can't complain with that result so far. I've just been riding on board CGK for the last half a lap or so. He was all over the back of Pat Star and unable to get past. He has rather wisely chosen on the main straight to just slam on the anchors, pull into the pit lane wall, and let a few other drivers past. It seems like he just wants that little bit of clear track. So
He
in
might be
doing
searching for a
so,
little bit of a slipstream, actually. So it might have been that he wanted a slipstream and it worked against him in the late stages, because he's kind of within range of race fan in front of him there.
it could be that too. I mean, he has written this lap off by slamming the brakes on the main straight. That's never going to do wonders for your qualifying time. But as you said, it puts him within range of a slipstream that could be quite handy for him.
Now here's
So
what's
speaking
interesting.
of-
The red mist car of Black Friday here is just ahead of Lenosis and appears to be giving him a bit of a slipstream. And into the pits he comes. The Black Friday will come in. Lenosis will come in for fresh tyres after setting one provisional lap time. Old Wakey, Kraken Esports. Is he going to unseat the mighty Lenosis, the obsession driver who's been terrorising
kidding.
Division 2 all season? No. Coming into the pits. That's right. It appears to be the popular decision at this stage. Everyone doing it. They've all set their one lap, their banker. Then they come. Deeds car coming in. Race fan. Out at the moment.
Race fan, no. He didn't do the whole pit stop. He's decided to stay out.
The crazy good Kung Fu's done the same thing here.
Same with Pat Star as well. Those three are running, in a very well spread out train at the moment.
With the bus stop on board with CGK. P10 at the moment. No sector splits for a little while here as they come through the sweeping right hand. Looks pretty good so far though. Using all of the track. That Porsche probably got fairly high speed cornering. He's got a little bit of dirty air from that McLaren. Let's see if the slipstream benefits him at all. Down towards the toe of the boot. An uphill right-hander. You can brake really late for this corner. You cut back for a late apex and slam your foot on the gas. A little bit of runoff there on the outside of the white line. You can use that to get a little bit of extra pace. And then you're looking for the 200-yard board on the left-hand side. They measure the distance to the corners in yards at this track. Into the right-hander. You got a lot of runoff for this corner, but you cannot go past the red and white there. The red and yellow there, sorry, on the outside. This corner. Off camber. Really easy to step the car out on the way out. He's 4/10 up here. He's got a nice slipstream from race fan in front of him. Let's hope that he doesn't get held up on the entrance to the pits. He's going to get held up by the doghouse entry. Goes through. He might have just got away with that. He's going to get a slipstream from the McLaren once again. Let's see what sort of time CGK puts on the board. The 45.2. It is an improvement. We'll never know if it would have been better. But for now, he sits P6. Lenosis finishes his out lap, and he's on to his next flyer. He'll get 2 laps here, I think. That Supra, mighty fast in a straight line. Go on board with Black Friday here. Lunacy comes in for more tyres. Black Friday,
DP Mario
debutant.
up into DP Mario up into P3.
Yeah, I guess you were on the money with that one. He's not far off
one.
that lead either. He's about a 10th behind. Black Friday is purple on the way through Sector 1. He might be getting a little bit of slipstream assistance from the pole sitter at the moment as well. He's got Lenosis in front of him. A nice gap that he can drive into. But a little bit of slipstream benefit perhaps as well. Let's see if he gets in here. Not bad. He's right on the apex there. That's good. With the dirty air appearing not to hinder him at all. Another sector split as they come out of this corner. Look at this. Chucks it in. Late apex and on the power in 3rd gear there. Up the hill they go. He's 2/10 up on his best. It's not going to be enough to unseat DP Mario though. He's going to have to move quicker. Late on the brakes into the right-hander. Slows the car right down. 3rd gear on exit. This corner. 100 yards on the right. Brake. Put it down to 2nd. Up to 3rd on exit. No, he sticks it in 2nd. He's 3/10 up on his best. He's finding time everywhere now. Just a lift on the way into there. No brakes needed. Early brakes for this corner. It's a deceiving corner, this one. And there's a wall on the outside you cannot afford to hit. Runs it right up. The proximity is perfect. It's a 44, but it's not enough to unseat DP Mario. So he'll stay in the current position.
DP Mario's just coming through the final 2 corners. He is 1/10 up on his best time. Might pip old Wakey here.
Here we go across the line. He does.
Bang.
He goes a 10th and a half blue there. Up to
And
P2.
old Wakey is not far behind him on track. He was in front, but
Just crossed the line.
coming through Sector 2, he was half a second down on his best time, so he basically pulled over, slowed right down to first gear, let a couple of drivers past him, and then resumed on because his lap was a bit cooked. So he'll be going out hard this lap, I believe.
So while we were watching the debutant Black Friday a little bit before, Lenosis set the purple lap of a 44.260, which is crazy fast here at Watkins Glen. It looks like
and on
Black Friday's
Wakey Watch, on Wakey Watch here, he's gone 1/10 purple through the first sector.
1/10 purple, and we've got 3/10 blue for Black Friday. He's on a flying lap as well. He's got massive pace here. He's catching up to Lenosis in front. Let's go on board with the Red Mist driver now. Hard on the brakes. Down to second gear. Through the final sector split. It's a little bit sideways on exit there. Let's hope he didn't lose his time. He's still 3.5 tenths up. It's nearly enough to unseat the pole sitter. It looks like Lenosis has ruined his lap. He's going to give a little bit of a toe to Black Friday on the way to the line, though, if he's not careful. He hugs the inside. Great proximity there on exit from Black Friday. Let's see what he can do. Can he unseat the pole sitter? He goes pole by 0.006. Black Friday on debut has gone provisional pole ahead of Lenosis with no time to respond. DP Mario will come across the line next. He looks like he's on a good lap as well. Let's see what he can do. No improvement. Old Wakey. He's coming around the last corner. Drives to the line. Will it be an improvement? 44.
I don't think so.
It's not quite enough.
He was doing great until that final sector, which is not the super strong point, it seems, at this track.
Lunacy up to P6. He's had a bit of an up and down qualifying this time.
Karen with a cheeky P5, if you don't mind.
That's good. That's good. He needs that confidence boost, doesn't he?
He definitely does. Been a bit down on himself in the pre-race practice sessions.
Yeah, he has been, but he's in a good spot now. Good to see him up at the pointy end once again.
And you and I both know what the Supras are like off the line. Not exactly rapid.
No.
So if they're not very, very careful, that GDR of DP Mario and the BRZ with Karen, well, red hot tip, keep your eyes on the Lunacy from P6. I bet he will be into at least P2 by turn 1.
Yeah,
in the Ferrari.
Here are the results then for the qualifying session. Black Friday on debut. He's on debut, isn't he? Did he race at Interlagos?
I was not a race director. I was away that week, so I will admit that my memory is
because I recognise the livery. I know I've seen the livery before, but I'm not sure if it's his debut or not. But pole position, regardless, 44.2, a fantastic lap to clear Lenosis by 0.006. So after his fantastic result at the last round, Lenosis might be a little bit worried now after not qualifying on pole position. And DP Mario in the GDR, you can guarantee he's going to have something to say to those Supras off the line there. I'd say if I was DP Mario, I'd definitely be considering the soft tyres to start with. Old Wakey, P4, good qualifying from him, but he needs to keep his eye on Lenosis, who's his championship rival at this point. Karen Unleashed, definitely going to mix up the pack a little bit, being in P5. Quite a lot higher than he has been most of the season, I think, apart from Willow Springs, where I believe he got a win. Can't quite remember. He may have. Lunacy in P6 rather, in the 458 Italia for Blacklight Motorsport. Stickers in the GR Super Racing concept. Team owner for Lightning Motorsport finds himself P7 on the grid. That's in P8. Crazy Good Kung Fu in the 911 RSR. In P9, Evil Evo in P10, Hat Star in P11, and Race Fan cruising, rounding out 12th and 13th here. The Blacklight Motorsport car Ferrari not quite able to match the pace of his teammate up in, I think it was P6 for Lunacy. Yes, it was. So, your hot tip was DP Mario. You said Lenosis was your other sort of favourite for qualifying. What do you think? Black Friday on pole position. A couple of guys in the chat. Is that a Supra? There are Supras all up the front.
I'm wondering what kind of strategy Black Friday is going to be running. Whether he's going to go the one stop, the two stop. I think the start's going to be. I think this start's going to be red hot. To be honest, I'm looking forward to it.
I can see DP Mario taking the lead into turn 1, and then Black Friday and Lenosis is going to have to fight it back on the way up to the bus stop, much like Division 1 last week. But it depends on what tyres they pick, and I can see Lenosis going for the long game, the one stop, you know, and that's he likes looking after the car a little bit.
I've seen the Ferrari off the line. That P6 is not going to stay that way for very, very long.
Well, it
should we
depends
get
if he
things
can get past
underway?
the BRZ. I think we should. I'm excited for this though. This is
Let's go.
This is going to be pretty crazy. The BRZ's no slouch off the line either. The GDR's quite good, and the Ferrari, as we know, the best cars off the starting line. It'll be very interesting. We'll take the cars to the grid. Here we are.
So as well.
There's your pole sitter. Black Friday. Lenosis alongside him, and the GDR of DP Mario looming in the background. The lights are starting to come on. Tensions are rising amongst the pack. 5 lights are on. The revs are all high. The lights are out, and we go racing here at Watkins Glen. And look at that, a fantastic start from the Ferrari. He's already up to 3rd. He's already up to 2nd. Will he take first? Lunacy leads into turn 1 here in the Ferrari. The Supras had no response to the rocket start of the blacklight car, and through he goes into P1. Can he hold it though? On the way up to the bus stop, the Supras are charging fast. Lenosis on his way through. Looks to the inside, no, the outside. Lunacy forces him the long way round.
Unfortunately, the one thing the Ferrari doesn't have, well, one of the two things the Ferrari doesn't have, if you include tyre wear, is top-end speed, unfortunately.
No, but he's still got a net gain. That's 3 positions found off the start. DP Mario challenging Karen up the inside there, so those two fighting will probably help Lunacy settle into 3rd position here. But the Supras have got back past, and Lenosis, crucially, is past Black Friday, the pole sitter.
And old Wakey wants a bit of a say in this battle for 4th and 5th as well.
He's right there, no messing about. We saw the Kraken Esports car with a lot of pace in the last race. See what he can do this race. DP Mario looking to the inside of Lunacy. Can't quite do it. The Supra's getting a tap on the rear bumper, I think. Well, they've just made it through, but DP Mario takes the position. Super defensive from Black Friday. A lot of bumping and grinding between these guys as they head through that corner, and the Supra's on the grass. DP Mario profits, as does the Ferrari.
Something's happened to Stickers somewhere along the line. I'm guessing in the first sector. He's currently 13 seconds off the back of P12.
Oh, wow.
I did not catch what happened. I'd say so.
It's all action up the front though. Old Wakey up the inside, as is Black Friday on the inside of Lunacy. But Karen Unleashed gets the old switcheroo, as they say in F1 commentating, on the Kraken Esports driver and gets it back. But the Supra's going to challenge once again. Here we go, to the inside. On the way down to the bus stop. What can the Ferrari do as well? Lunacy. Will he look to the inside? He can't quite do it. The Toyota's got too much top end for him. Heading to the sweeping right. Black Friday's not doing too bad. DP Mario is actually in pursuit of Lenosis, and it looks like he might even be catching him.
I will keep an eye out on that split. It's currently at 1.5 seconds.
Down the inside. Lunacy on Old Wakey trying for it. On the way up outside, up the sole of the boot. Nothing that Lunacy can do there. Supra's just got too much power. Datsun looking good in P7 as well. He's got company from behind in the form of Crazy Good Kung Fu and Cruz in there.
I don't want to drop too much information early, but just as a bit of a teaser, I will say between 3rd, 4th and 5th, there is a tyre differential.
I'm not entirely surprised by that. I think Old Wakey's got the pace to suggest he might be on the softs, and the two out the front, I'd say, are probably on softs too. It looks like a tap of the wall there for Black Friday on the exit of the final corners. Dropped him behind Old Wakey, who's profiting massively right now. He's had a fantastic start to his race. Look at that. Black Friday under immense pressure from the Ferrari behind. He shouldn't have too much trouble here going up towards the bus stop. Ferrari definitely trying to challenge. Nothing he can do against the might of the Supra in a straight line though. The lead through the bus stop. Gap is forever closing up the front between DP Mario and Lenosis. 1 second now.
I was just about to say that. It's lost half a second in the last lap. Coming down to under a second now.
Lenosis feeling the pressure by the looks, so I presume both of these guys are on softs, and if we assume that, then what'll be interesting to see will be if DP Mario tries to fight Lenosis for position here, because while it might be beneficial to lead, it might be beneficial more still to work together to pull away from the guys behind, because the gap to Old Wakey is 4 seconds right now, and that's not really enough for a soft stint. I know they're only 3 laps in at the moment, but they really need to pull a gap on these guys. What's interesting though is that DP Mario doesn't really have the overtaking power that Supra does. He may be faster through the corners, but as soon as they get on this back straight, we're going to watch that Supra drive away, as we've seen happen so many times.
Alright, so the gap at the moment is near as makes no difference, half a second. Let's just keep an eye on it.
Go on board with DP Mario. Deep in the slipstream of Lenosis' Supra. That gap is stagnant a little bit. You'd expect him to be closing up a little bit more with the benefit of the toe.
Definitely.
But yeah, possible fuel save from DP Mario. Possible fuel save from Lenosis. You never know. Look at the speed he closes up in that corner there. I think DP Mario is going to be by before long.
Well, it would not be clever by either of them to spend too much time battling, I wouldn't think.
No, well, if I was Lenosis, I would probably be considering letting him pass as soon as he gets close enough to really force the issue. Which is happening right about now, and Lenosis,
as he goes defensive.
Because the interesting, if you think about it, when it comes to working together, right? Let's say you want to sit in a slipstream, or you want to bump draft another driver to find some time around the track. This is not the way you want to do it with the power car in front, because the power car will pull away on the straights, and the slower car will receive the benefit of the slipstream on the straights, and then as soon as you get to the corners, the handling car doesn't have the ability to drive to its full potential. So you're missing out on half the benefit of working together. Whereas if you flip that and you put the GDR in front, and the GDR on the straight gets a bump draft from the power car on the way up, the Supra gives him a bump draft, and then in the corners he pulls out the gap to about a second, and then the Supra catches up on the straight and bumps him to give him a boost of speed. That way you get 2 cars getting the benefit of the slipstream instead of just 1. So it looks like Lenosis isn't thinking about that whatsoever, and he's much more interested in defending the position and leading the race.
Now,
Which
that was a fantastic explanation. But it does depend on one thing. It depends on both drivers wanting to work together.
It does,
which
absolutely. It cannot
I'm
happen
pretty sure
without
that's not the
total
case.
cooperation.
I'm pretty sure that's not the case in this instance.
No, I wouldn't think so, considering what we've seen from Lenosis so far. But, you know, racing is racing. We are going car racing, and Lenosis definitely got the memo on that one. Old Wakey's still 3.5 behind, so the guys haven't pulled away from him too far. Black Friday is still
Fourth,
sitting in
fifth, and
P4.
sixth is fourth, fifth, and sixth is still a red-hot battle.
It is indeed. So we're on board with Black Friday now in the Green Beacon machine. Looking back at Lunacy, who's having a look down the inside here, but not able to get anything done. No danger of hitting an apex there for Black Friday as they head through, and it looks like Lunacy's going to go for a move here down the inside of the hairpin. Through he goes. Now it's an interesting spot to take a position here for Lunacy, because while the door was open and you can't really knock him for it.
Oh, Cruisen's in the wall.
Oh.
Oh, that's not gone well. In the final sector, that lovely tight left-hander just gotten the Ferrari all kinds of crossed up and into the wall.
We'll have to check it back on the replay shortly, but I was going to say before that, just looking at Black Friday, with the overtake done by Lunacy, it might come back to bite him, because that Supra is going to be very fast up the back straight here, so let's see what he can do. Although it might be a bridge too far now, because it's about 8/10 for Lunacy up front, so he's done very well to pull away as much as he needed to. There you have it. Only down to 6/10 on the way into the bus stop. So we'll have a look now at Cruisen's incident. Have a look here. Head through behind CGK there. What happened here? A little bit early on the power? Yep. Got loose on the power, overcorrected, and into the fence. And through goes Dadson, amongst others. Finds himself in P12.
Oh, speaking of getting all crossed up, Karen was very crossed up there just before serving his penalty, which has dropped him right off the back of that 4th and 5th battle with the Lunacy and Black Friday. He's going to have to work. Yeah, he'll be swearing inside that helmet, I think.
Black Friday's stayed awfully close to Lunacy here, so he might be able to have another go at him on the way up to the bus stop.
He might be thinking strategically at this point.
Well, I think if you're this close to a Ferrari and a Supra at this point on the lap, overtaking is kind of, it's just a formality. You can't really justify saving your fuel behind a Ferrari because it's just such a difference in straight line speed that it wouldn't really be worth it. Although he's quite far back this time around, so it might actually work out for him.
Funny you mention that, because Black Friday is shifting very, very short in the rev band.
Yeah, I saw it. He put it in 6th gear before they even got to the top of the hill there. That's quite interesting, because the Supra is quite an interesting car when it comes to the fuel save. So most cars in Gran Turismo, you'll find if you short shift, you just reduce the power by a little bit, you lose overall time, not much at all, a little bit of straight line speed, and it doesn't really hurt you too much. You'll save quite a lot of fuel. This is the case for the cars like the Ferrari and the Mercedes. In the Supra, however, when you short shift, you lose a bucket load of time on the straights, you lose a lot of straight line speed, and you don't really save any fuel at all. So the best way to save fuel...
it is difficult to save fuel in the Supra.
It is difficult to save fuel in the Supra. So what can happen is you might only save another half a lap of fuel by short shifting the crap out of the car versus revving it out to its max, which is of course...
Speaking of which, Karen is right on his rear bumper right at this point.
Yep. We're on board with Black Friday here, and we can see the little rear view mirror on the inside, and now Karen looking to the outside. So what I was going to say there was the best way to save fuel with the Supra is to lift and coast into braking zones.
Just before I had a chance, sorry to interrupt you again.
Right.
Just before I had a chance to do a tyre and fuel update.
Fuel update, we've missed it.
Mario and Wakey are in the pits at the end of lap 7, so I think that puts them onto the 2-stop strategy for us as Cruisin comes in as well.
Indeed it does. Well, let's take it from the top and do an APR tyre and fuel update in any case. Get these guys
so
the information out there.
Lenosis is currently on about 40% fuel and it's probably got about 30% tyre left on his racing softs. The Lunacy is on the racing mediums at the moment, currently sitting on about 30% fuel left, probably about 60% wear on the tyres, which is pretty good for the Ferrari, to be perfectly honest. Black Friday is doing incredibly well for fuel with his fuel saving strategy. He is just under half a tank, and on the racing medium tyres has about 60% wear. Karen is also doing well for fuel with just under half a tank. On the racing soft tyres, he has pretty much burned up that front left. He's down to about 20% left on the front and just about 40% left on the rear. So he's really making the front end of that car work. CGK in the Porsche is probably at about 40-45% fuel left in the tank. On the racing medium tyres, he's probably got about 50% wear front and rear, so doing quite nicely to look after the tyres with the Porsche. Race fan in the McLaren, as he comes into the pits, he's got about 30% fuel and has used the racing mediums about 30-35% wear as he kicks them off, and I presume he will be throwing on a set of softs. DP Mario started on the racing soft tyres and he is now onto the racing medium tyres and has fueled up to about 80%. And Old Wakey has also done the same thing. He's gone from the softs to the mediums and fueled up to just over 80%.
I think we missed a couple there as well. Dadson, Star and Evil Evo. What tyres are they on?
How did I miss them?
It was the pit stop.
Ah, that is evil. Forgive me, I'm easily confused. Alright, Dadson, he's doing pretty damn well for fuel. He's got about a bit under 40% left in the tank. He's on the racing medium tyres with about 50% wear. Pat Star is near on identical for fuel. Well, near on identical for tyre wear as well, except he's used a little bit more of the rear tyre. He's probably used about 3/4 of it. And Evil Evo doing a little bit better for front tyre wear. He's only about 50% worn on the racing mediums. At doing very, very well for fuel, being about 45% left in the tank. And I think, last but not least, is Cruisin in the Ferrari. He's filled up to about 90% in the tank and has thrown on some racing soft tyres on the Ferrari.
Very good stuff. We rejoin the pack. Have a look at our leader, Lenosis. So, on the soft tyres, wasn't it? Out the front
That
here.
is correct. That is correct.
Pulled 13 seconds to his nearest rival, Lunacy, although there have been a couple of guys who have pitted already, but with his performance so far, Lenosis is looking pretty strong. And like we said before the race, I think, the prediction was Lenosis is the sort of guy who would like to look after his car for the duration of the race and run that one stop. And it looks like that's what he's doing. He's run those softs. He's going to come to the end of the 10th lap here and probably have tyres for one more, I think. Is that right?
Well, judging by how sideways he was coming out of that corner, I'm not too sure, but I dare say he is going to run another lap.
He's braver than most, Lenosis. We've seen the sort of things he can do this season. Lunacy not doing too bad either, holding his own against the debutant Black Friday down P3. Who's having a good race so far on the mediums. He's definitely done what he needed to do so far this race.
I was about to say he's got Karen for company until Karen went massively understeering into that right-hander. He just has absolutely no front left tyre left, which just pretty much explains the understeer. So
Let's see, will Karen come in?
he's
No.
not going to.
Turn for one more. I'll tell you what though, it's easy, it's very easy to accidentally go wide for that last corner and forget that you need to pit. I actually did
Yep.
that last week at the end of my 10th lap, and I ended up having to go for 11 because I missed the pit entry. And of course,
Oh.
as you know, you get a 3-second penalty if you cross the pit lane line. So
Mm-hmm.
rather than take the 3 seconds, I did an extra lap.
Well, on worn tyres, you would still run a faster lap time than if you did a 3-second penalty, because
I
that
would
would
tend to
be
agree. Yeah.
that would be like what, 5.5 seconds by the time you serve the penalty and get
Oh,
back up
that's-
to speed.
Quite a lot, yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I wonder if anyone's done that this race. Went to go into the pits and, oh no, I'm going to miss the entry, better go around for one more. Because you can just bail out. As soon as you bail out of the pit lane line, because it is the inside of the corner, you just go around.
You can't go back, yeah.
Yeah. But
Although, interestingly, Karen has no front left tyre, but he is still absolutely
He's
monstering Black
pounding
Friday
Black Friday,
under brakes.
that Subaru is fairly handy on those worn tyres by the looks. Down the inside he goes. Black Friday lets him have it.
Yep.
Goes for the switchback. Look at that. Oh, no thank you, sir. Says Black Friday.
He knew exactly what was going to happen there and just let it happen.
That was beautiful. Well done, Black Friday. Take a bow, sir. Now let's see. Lenosis goes around again. 12 laps on the soft tyre. Lunacy in. Black Friday will go around again, as will Brent. Brent going around
Lunacy's
again.
in. Black Friday and Karen going again.
Yeah. Surprised they have
um,
enough fuel. Lunacy down at 2 litres.
Well, Black Friday's got just under a quarter of a tank. Karen is near on identical, but I don't know if anyone's bothered to tell him that he's had no front left tyre for the last 2 laps. Which is
He doesn't seem to have noticed himself. Look at his pace. It's insane.
which is costing him, because have a look behind him. Mr. CGK is coming in hot.
And CGK's on the medium tyres too, isn't he?
That is correct.
So
Well,
he's going to be in good shape for
Karen-
the second stint.
Karen's on the softs. Black Friday's on the mediums. CGK is on the mediums as well.
Yeah. So he's used up his soft stint, but he's considering he's on dead softs. I think he's doing pretty well right now. But yeah, CGK has very quietly entered the chat, and looks like he's going to throw his 2 cents in amongst the pigeons here against Karen and Black Friday. Although these guys are probably going to pit this lap.
He's certainly got the tyre advantage if he wants to make a move sometime before the pit lane entry.
I'd say it's... Well, he'd be relying on a mistake from one of the 2 in front of him. Let's see what happens. Very, very precise driving from CGK. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. He looks like he's exactly where he wants to be. Lenosis in with 0 litres on board. Into 12 laps. No fuel left whatsoever. Very interesting. Let's see.
Black
CGK
Friday's
will go
going around again.
Oh, careful. Dodgy pit lane entry. CGK lost a bit of time there.
I will keep an eye on Karen and see if he picks up an invoice for that one.
Oh, he wouldn't do. I think he stayed within the lines, but what happened was Crazy Good Kung Fu tried to take the racing line, which of course meets the apex of the corner, which is in the pit lane line. So it was just a bit awkward, but DGK still going around and pulling time on Black Friday. Black Friday's definitely on a big fuel save here because he's losing time to a Porsche on a straight in the Supra.
I don't agree with the Americans' choice of pit lane entry at this track.
No, I
think it's
don't
a bit-
either.
I think it's a bit silly.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And the pit lane exit as well, you've got to be very careful to have a little bit of right-hand steering lock on, because otherwise the auto drive will just spit you straight out across that exit line, and
Cop that 3 second, yeah.
you'll get 3 seconds. So if you've been naughty on the inside, and you're too busy raging to pay attention on their pit lane exit, that'll turn into 6 seconds and ruin your day very quickly.
Yeah. In fairness to the Americans, that's not their fault. That's just the game being the game. But the entry line, yes, I must agree with. So we'll see if it catches Crazy Good Kung Fu out again. Defensive from Black Friday as they head into the hairpin here. Crazy Good Kung Fu once again, the epitome of control. Gets a perfect exit to the inside here. Look at that.
I do believe we will see CGK into the pits this lap because he has no fuel.
Look at that. Black Friday goes around again.
He will be, I dare say he will be in at the end of the next lap.
Yeah, he's only got 10 laps to go, and if he can go this far on the mediums, I would dare say he can go this far on the softs. Now, the interesting ones to think about now is DP Mario. He must be on a 2-stop because he boxed at the end of lap 7, if I recall.
That's correct.
And Old Wakey was the same, wasn't he?
My memory is. I believe so. They were both, yes, they were both on the softs.
Lap 8, so I presume that's.
Yes, that is definitely a pit lap.
End of lap 7, and Evil Evo was the same. No, Evil Evo hasn't pitted yet.
That is a negative. He has little to no left-hand rear tyre left, but he has not yet pitted.
Right. He owes a stop. The two in front of him still owe a stop, so he's actually not in a bad spot here, Evil Evo. Minosis is a fair way behind these guys.
Neither has Pat Starr down in P8. He has not pit either. And I'm just wondering, was Race Fan one of the earlier pit stoppers?
I want to say yes. He's boxed into lap 8 onto the softs. Oh no, sorry, off the softs.
Yes, onto the mediums. There we go.
He's on the mediums now. So he'll probably box
he's
again
on the
in 2
softs.
laps. Oh, he's on the softs, so he'll box again
Yes.
in a couple of laps' time.
Right.
All a very bit confusing.
Black Friday into the pits with 1% fuel left.
There we go. Finally blinks. Sure he needed it.
There was not a lot of rubber left on those mediums either.
Well, you're definitely on the money with DP Mario. He's looking very quick here. 7.5 seconds clear of Old Wakey, and Lenosis is 16 seconds behind him, so it's not a pit stop in hand, but it's a good, healthy lead right now. And I think DP Mario is not going to be in a bad spot once he makes his pit stop.
He also currently holds the fastest lap of a 1:44.223, which Lenosis, being on the medium compound now, may not be able to break that.
I think the person we'll need to watch out for the fastest lap is probably Black Friday. Lunacy as well. I don't know how this has happened. In the lap 11 he pitted. Onto the softs, presumably. And he's right on the back of Lenosis here. Is he short fueled?
He is... Well, he's got about 30% in the tank. So
Nice.
he's definitely not going to the end.
Interesting. That explains why he's on the back of Lenosis. And Lenosis now on the back of Evil Evo as well. This is going to be interesting because Lenosis cannot afford to lose time, and it looks like the indicator is on from Evil Evo.
Yes. Yep. He's out of left-hand rear tyre.
Oh.
He's almost out of fuel, so he will be into the pits at the end of this lap.
Lunacy squeezes through as well. He's now going to try and get past Lenosis. Black Friday's way down here in P8. He's a long way behind Lenosis here. Although I know the gap was big before the stop. I think it's a bridge too far now. Crazy Good Kung Fu has well and truly cleared the Supra from Red Mist. As Evil Evo comes in for, I believe, his first stop.
That is correct. I believe his teammate Pat Starr will be... Oh no, Patstar pitted at the end of lap 14. He's already been in, thrown on a set of softs, close to a full tank of fuel, and he's back out again.
I'll tell you what, this race is on for CGK. He's just set a 45.8, and I think he's only going to go faster from here. Big improvement on his best lap on the mediums.
Oh, Cruisen's having a bad time at the moment in P13. He has no rear tyres left on the Ferrari, which the Ferrari is already a bit of a handful when you've got fresh rubber, and when you've got worn tyres, I do not envy him trying to keep that thing under control.
But they will come. So, on the softs, presumably, and they've worn
Correct.
out. That's 2 cents on the softs for Cruisen, or has he got one more?
I should really write this stuff down.
Need a little notepad for all this.
Oh, I do.
Right, now, this is fairly relevant. The championship battle hangs in the balance. Old Wakey P2, 8 seconds down from DP Mario, but he owes another stop. And Lenosa's 7 seconds behind. It's probably going to get in when the pit stops do happen. But
And that is a definite will happen, because with about 15% fuel left, Old Wakey is not going to make it to the end.
so Old Wakey he's on the softs, and he's run the softs twice, I believe.
He was on the softs. He was on the softs. He's now on the mediums.
Right, so he'll probably go back to the softs shortly. And again, we're seeing it again. He pitted at the end of lap 7. So he's probably going to box at the end of this lap and go for 7 laps on the softs, which is interesting, because we're seeing people get 12 laps out of them, and really. So it's surprising not to see these guys going for 8 or 9 on their softs.
Maybe they don't like the way the car feels as the tyres start to drop off the cliff.
Must be. But
I mean, just
yeah.
myself personally, I ran 10 laps on the softs, but the last 2 and a bit laps, it wasn't comfortable. It was a very nervous experience. It's like, how much front end grip do I have?
It's a tough time, that's for sure. Losing a bit of time to Lunacy as the time comes down.
And especially with the way the tyres wear at this track, turning left is not a problem. You've got plenty of grip there. It's when you go to turn right and you're expecting to have the same level, and then you realise, oh, I don't. And Wakey comes into the pits, as DP Mario is also in the pits.
Back up, go out again on the softs and set some rapid laps, you would hope. See what he can do.
I would fully expect that fastest lap at the moment to maybe dip towards a 44 flat with low fuel, fresh softs.
Now, I believe Lunacy is net leader at this point. He's done 11 laps on his first stint, and he's probably going to try go to the end. He's on the softs, is that right?
No, he's not going
He's
to.
short fueled, wasn't he?
Yes, he is on the fuel light now. He is most definitely not going to the end.
Aha. Interesting. And again, we're seeing them go more laps than seemingly necessary. Or less laps, rather. So he's going to box back onto the softs now. He's only going to get 6 laps out of it.
Well, it's a Ferrari. It is cooking those rear tyres at a rapid rate of knots. He's got his hands full just trying to keep that car in a straight line at this point.
Okay, now this is interesting. DP Mario came out of the pits in P3. And he's on the soft tyres for 7 laps. He's got 18 seconds to catch. He's actually not in too bad of a position. He's come out ahead of CGK as well, which is a real good spot to be in. So he's now got clear air that he can drive into to catch Lenosis. And he's probably going to get Lunacy, because Lunacy's got a pit yet.
He will definitely get past Lunacy. Lenosis making up 16.5 seconds in 6 laps.
Well, here's the thing.
That's a fair ask.
Lenosis is gonna end up on red. No, he's on mediums, isn't he?
That is correct.
So he's on mediums. So DP Mario is gonna naturally be faster. DP Mario's tires are not gonna go to full red, so he's gonna have his pace all the way to the end of the race. So he's pulling the time. It's a big ask. He's going to need to find 2 seconds a lap or more. But
Yep.
he's in good pace. He's got the fastest lap. If anyone can do it.
Oh, he's
And
also got to
CGK's
worry
coming with
about.
him.
He's also got to worry about CGK, who's in his slipstream.
He is, but I
He's
get
been
the
it.
feeling that CGK will leave him behind. There's a red flag, yellow flag rather. It's not a red flag. I thought it might be Lenosis. I was very concerned for a second there, but it looks like it was a back marker. It was cruising, yes. So he's had a little bit of a spin back there.
Yeah, Cruisin not having a good race was unfortunately lapped a little bit earlier, late on the last lap, but he did do the right thing. He saw the blue flags, saw the leader coming through, and just pulled over to the inside of the track and got well out of the way. So well done there, Cruisin.
Cruisin knows the rules. Stalwart of Sector 1. So about a second has been chomped out this lap, maybe a second and a half. But with 5 laps to go, 15 seconds to find or thereabouts, I don't think it's going to happen for DP Mario. But I'm sure the pressure will be building at Lenosis' end. He's going to have to drive the rest of the race without cracking under the pressure and without making any mistakes.
Tell you what, someone who's had an absolutely amazing, well, when I say amazing, it's relative, who's had an amazing drive tonight that we've barely noticed or acknowledged at this point is actually Stickers. After his first lap...
Oh, he did. He found himself way off the back on the first lap, didn't he?
I'm just going to say first lap drama because we have absolutely no idea what happened. He found himself 12 seconds behind P12 in dead last, has driven himself back up into
It's now
P7.
It's a Womble-esque drive from Division 4.
That is phenomenal.
Twice in one night we've seen someone turned around on the first lap and then showing race-winning pace, I suppose, would be what you'd call it. Drop back one and see Lunacy taking on Karen Unleashed. And he's purple through the first sector as well in the Ferrari.
It
He
is.
can steal the fastest lap from DP Mario.
The circumstances are sad, but it is amazing what a driver can do when they just say F it and go hammer and tong.
Yeah, and it's not that we don't know that Stickers has talent either. He's a race winner in this category after all. So we know that he can do
He's
it.
quick.
So yeah, it's the pace that he should have had up the front that he's demonstrating, unfortunately, to a result in a mid-pack. But, you know, bad luck strikes sometimes. He'll just have to hope that this is a drop round for him.
Speaking of bad luck, the gap between DP Mario and CGK has dropped out to near on 3 seconds.
Yeah, so he came out of the pits on fresh soft ahead of CGK. I think CGK never really had a chance, but CGK is in a podium position run. And I know he's got Black Friday sniffing at the back there, although he's just gone very wide on the exit of turn 1. CGK's in a great spot here and could snag a podium. And not that P4 would be a bad result, but he's performed very well and driven that car fantastically, looked after it just like his teammate in Division 4 as well. And here he is in P3 on for a podium with only 3.5 laps to go.
And his teammate in Division 3 who took the race win, if I remember correctly.
The AEST team having a great run here at Watkins Glen. Love to see it. Have a look at Stickers once again. Stickers has a rear mirror full of lunacy, who's on fresh soft tyres and gunning for the fastest lap. Here he goes, down the inside. Nothing that Stickers can do against the superior grip of that Ferrari.
Speaking of fastest lap, the fastest lap currently sits at a 44.223. DP Mario's last lap was a 44.249, and he is currently 1.5 tenths up as he comes through the final corner.
That gap is coming down very fast.
He is a man on a mission.
Less than 9 seconds. He's only got 3 laps.
There's a
to go.
43.
A 43.9. Unbelievable. We didn't even see that in qualifying, and here he is.
Well,
on
to
lap
be fair,
21.
He does have a quarter of a tank of fuel, so that, compared to qualifying, that is a fair weight disadvantage.
He's throwing the gauntlet down, that's for sure. Lenosis will have seen that now, and he'll be going, oh dear.
It is always intimidating as a driver when you're watching that delta between you and someone behind you just dropping.
Well, I'll tell you what's intimidating about it as well. That gap was, 15 seconds plus. It was double-digit seconds, right? The moment where you start crapping your pants, for want of a better phrase, is when it goes from 10 seconds to 9 seconds. You lose that double digit, and suddenly that number gets a whole lot scarier.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done that. He's pulled another second now.
But you've got, as that driver in front, you've got to remember 2 laps.
Yeah.
Just
You've got to think about it.
Don't give him 4 seconds a lap.
Yeah, Lenosis would have to lose 4 seconds a lap from here on out in order to lose to DP Mario in this race. And it would be very easy, it should be very easy to not do that. But it's the pressure of constantly looking at that number and seeing it come down that'll make him do it. 7.5 now. Still coming down. It's been a great drive from DP Mario. It's going to be probably a bridge too far. But he's driven fantastically and, showing what he's made of. Lenosis, once again, a clinical drive out the front.
Just having a look a bit further back in P6 and 7, Dadson and DeLunacy are going at it. The Lunacy's got quite the tyre advantage over poor Dadson, who doesn't have a whole lot of front tyre left, so I feel it's just going to be a matter of time before the Lunacy
switches back to the inside. Let's see what the Ferrari's like versus the Mercedes in a power zone.
It's fairly even,
They're wheel to wheel right now.
Oh, who's got the biggest set coming into the braking zone?
Yeah, I think Lunacy's probably going to have to yield. No, Dadson.
Nope.
Dadson lets him have it. To be fair, it was only a matter of time, so probably the wise move. Because he does have Stickers coming in the back there. 5 seconds to gap, but Stickers could close that down potentially.
Poor Dadson just has no front left tyre at all.
That gap to Lenosis is down to 6 seconds. It's coming down fast, I tell you. Mario's done a great job to get it to where it is right now. And he has nearly pulled 4 seconds this lap, Down to nearly 5.5. Lenosis might be on a fuel save, Is he struggling for fuel a little bit?
He and DP Mario are identical for fuel, which is on the fuel light on the final lap.
They're both safe for fuel. Interesting that he's still finding so much time, even on the straights, DP Mario.
I'm not sure how safe CGK might be in P3 at the moment because he's in the Porsche and they're mid-engine rear drive, correct?
Yep.
How do those cars go with no rear tyres, just out of curiosity?
Well, I'm guessing that means that he's got no rear tyres.
Although, in fairness, Black Friday behind him is in the Supra with no front left tyre, so...
I'd have to say, dead rear tyres is probably more dangerous than dead front tyres, but That Porsche is a very stable car, and I would say it's probably going to survive with dead rear tyres. It's not going to be nearly as difficult as the Alfa.
Flying completely outside of my radar is Old Wakey in P5 and less than a second behind Black Friday at the moment.
At Black Friday's got to look two directions at once. He's got to have one eye on the windscreen and one eye on the rear view mirror here.
Not a good place to be.
No. There's not far to go now. Lenosis has managed to hold it together over DP Mario behind. He threw everything at him. But Lenosis stayed strong. He was stoic from start to finish. He knew his strategy. He stuck to it. And he will cross the line to take the win for Division 2 here at Watkins Glen. A great drive once again. That's 2 wins in a row for Lenosis. Obsession Motorsport on top again. DP Mario with a fantastic drive and great pace round here. TGK will come home to it to take the final spot on the podium, followed closely by Black Friday, with Old Wakey breathing down his neck on the way to the line here. Great finish for the top 5 there. Lunacy will come across the line for P6. A good drive in the Ferrari. Not quite up there with the top 5, and of course not the best black light finisher of the night, with Good Doc finishing P5 in his race, but a good result nonetheless. Dadson P7, a great result for him, and Stickers P8 after being dropped all the way back to the bottom of the field and having to fight back from a long way down. Evil Evo in P9, Racefan P10, Patstar will come across the line in P11, and Karen Unleashed with P12 after a great qualifying. Couldn't quite put the race together, unfortunately. Looks like he went for a late pit stop as well.
Yeah, we might need to have a bit of a post-race debrief with the Deeds team owner there. Exactly what just happened there.
Yep, and to go over probably that early red flag night as well. But we'll have a look at our results from tonight's race here at Watkins Glen to finish out our entertainment for the evening. Division 2, Round 6. Lenosis takes the laurels in the GR Supra racing concept for Obsession Motorsport. Not quite able to take the fastest lap though. DP Mario took that with a 43.985, a fantastic lap that no one else really came close to. Black Friday did alright though with a 44.3. Crazy Good Kung Fu, a podium. Fantastic result for the Porsche driver. It's been a good night for ISA Esports, a P4 and a P3 tonight. Black Friday in P4 and the GR Supra for Red Mist Racing. Old Wakey in P5, a good result for him as well. GR Supra for Kraken Esports. Lunacy in P6. He finishes where he started. Same place on the grid. Dadson in P7 in the Mercedes. He'll be happy with that result here in the top 8. And Stickers in P8 after a incident in the first lap dropped him way down. A great result for him. Evil Evo in P9 with the 4C for Doghouse Racing. Racefan in P10 for CP Motorsports. Patstar for Doghouse in the 4C in P11. Karen Unleashed in the BRZ. P12 for Deeds. And Cruisin' for Blacklight Motorsport. P13 and finishes, unfortunately, a lap down. That Ferrari, too tough to handle. So, what do you think of our results, Carbon Boy?
Overall, for the most part, it's kind of what I was expecting out of the race, with a few unfortunate mishaps thrown in. Stickers being one of them, Cruisin' not having the best day out being another as well. I'd sort of be interested to catch up, try and jump down into the pit lane and see if I can catch up with him and see what went on there. Overall though, I'm happy with the race.
DP Mario really threw down the gauntlet with that fastest lap. It was such an impressive final stint. I wonder what would have happened if he'd gone in a lap earlier, but couldn't quite do it. 3.5 seconds down. I'd be only 3.5 seconds behind Lenosis after all that. Very impressive from Mario. And CGK, probably my driver of the day, just quietly went about his business and got the job done. P3 for ISA Esports. Get your driver of the day nominations in the chat down below. Let us know who you think performed the best tonight. Who's your driver of the day, Carbon Boy?
Well, this one was actually a tough one to come up with. I've been thinking about this since about lap 22, to be honest. My nomination is for PLE Black Friday. Pole position on debut, and just missing out on a podium is still a result that is not to be sneezed at in this division, which is incredibly full of talent.
He was catching crazy good kung fu as well. He was very close, so it was definitely a good performance from him in that Green Beacon car. So a great result for him nonetheless. Let's see if we have any coming in. CGK, a couple for CGK. So I think, yeah, he had a great run this time around. So a great drive from him for AEST Sports and a great result and a lot of entertainment for us this evening. So I will say thank you very much to everyone in the chat who watched along. Don't forget to like the stream if you have enjoyed it. Give us a hand to work our way up the YouTube algorithm and get suggested to more sim racing fans around the world. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see more content from Sector 1 Sim Racing, don't forget to ring that bell. And you'll get notified every time we go live, which is every Sunday and every Thursday for the community series as well. If you want to join our Discord, down in the description down below, and welcome you into the community. You can get involved any way you like, and we'll be happy to have you. But that is round 6 run and done for us. So we will see you all again in a little while. Next week. Where do we go next week? I think it's Monza, isn't it?
Hey, no, I don't believe it is Monza. Let me double check.
No, we're Group 4 next week.
We are staying in America. We are going to Laguna Seca.
Laguna Seca. Oh, I love Laguna Seca. I'm excited for that. Very good. That should be fun. We'll see
Road
you all there.
Atlanta is not until round 9. Sorry to dampen your enthusiasm there.
That's all right. I like Laguna Seca better anyway. We'll see you all at Laguna Seca next week for Division 1 and Division 3. Until then, have a pleasant evening.
Thank you very much.